Good evening and welcome to another live episode with Disqualified Dads. Now, tonight, before we carry on, let me just get the intro out of the way. Firstly, as all of you know now, you should know by now, I'm eligible for super chats. So send in your super chats and those questions or comments will go straight to the top. I'll give you a shout out. House rules, right. The guest I got coming on is Fabian. Fabian is a social worker. He's a psychologist. Sorry, let me get this right. He is a social worker. He's a social worker, family court advocate, and he's a student of psychology, MSc psychology. This is his Instagram page. Follow him, give him a shout. If you want him to support you, help you through your situation, drop him a message, give him a shout out, and I'm sure he'll get back to you and whatnot, but we'll bring him on in a minute. Now, house rules. Once I bring Fabian on, we're going to jump straight into it. If you've got any questions for him, guys, and I'll bring you on, don't mention any names, don't mention names of your children, don't mention your ex-partner's name, don't start slagging your missus off, none of that. Just come on, let's have a chat, or if you want to challenge him on something, come on, challenge him, but be respectful. Fabian's here, he's given up his time, so I'm going to bring him on shortly. Also, respect to all of you that are following. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, this is the only podcast, this is the only live stream on the internet, currently, I would say even on the radio, anywhere that I know of, that give you live legal advice. So when I say legal advice, family court advice. This is the only platform out there that provides family court question and answer, live advice that is very difficult to get hold of. You know, I've got Mr. Ryan here normally, but I'm bringing different Mackenzies on, different family court advocates and legal people on. But this is the only platform that's putting information out there. So support the platform, send this, subscribe to it, spread this around to all your circles and to all of those that need this information and knowledge. Now, without getting on too much, let me bring Fabian on. Fabian, welcome to Disqualified Dads. Finally, long time coming, long time in the planning, long time overdue. We're finally here.
Good to be here, man. Good to speak with you finally. How you doing, man?
Mate, I'm good. Fabian, I'm good. Last time I saw you was on the was it the Baby Fathers podcast? There was, I listened to some of your story. It was a while back now. I went listened to some of the intricacies of your story and whatnot. By the sounds of it, obviously you've got, luckily you have got contact with your kids from what I understood. Now, just do us a favor, just give us a little bit about your background, what you do, how you got here. Maybe if you want to go into your own situation and story, talk about a little bit about that. I know off camera a little while ago, we spoke a little bit about male abuse and stuff like that. So just talk us a bit through your background, your journey, and then what you do, how you got here, and we'll take it from there.
Where do I start? If you want to go right back to the very, very beginning,
wherever you want, bro. Wherever you're comfortable with, yeah.
Yeah. Since school times, I've always kind of worked in this field. So from like year 10, I worked in peer mentoring. I did a peer mentoring qualification when I was in year 10, Beer Tech and Peer Mentoring and Communications. At the age of 18, I volunteered overseas in a secondary school in St. Lucia, doing, I guess, dilute social work, community-based work. And then when I returned, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And then I ended up enrolling in university and doing social work and getting my degree in social work. I got my degree in social work in 2016. I've worked in CAMS. I've worked with Kids Company, which is no longer Kids Company, but for those of you that might remember. So a lot of like youth-based, family-focused kind of work. I've worked in child protection since 2017, primarily doing parenting assessments. That's assessments of mums and dads together in residential settings, working with parents with mental health, substance misuse, and specifically domestic violence.
Right.
And then following on from then, so I've been working in the field since about 2017. 2018, 2019, I started delivering domestic violence programs to men and women, both perpetrators and victims of domestic abuse and violence. And where we were in 2024. So I started Fresh for Fathers primarily in 2023, just over a year ago now. And I guess the purpose of that was I had self-represented myself through the family courts. And I think my experiences as a social worker, because in social work I like write reports and I present in court, I use some of those skills in the family court process to represent myself. I fortunately had a positive outcome, but what I learned from that experience was it is so tenuous between like getting a good outcome or getting a negative outcome. It can go either way at any time based on allegations, based on, you know, things that are said, based on how you present yourself. So that's why I set up this page, Fresh for Fathers. But what I ended up finding out was I was contacted by many fathers in a similar situation as myself. But then I had many mothers, stepmothers, sisters, family, friends of partners and boyfriends and men that had been through the situation that would reach out to me and say, like, you know, is this information only for men? And I guess being a father myself, my passion is obviously advocating for men primarily, but not blindly advocating for men where safe and suitable and appropriate to have contact with their children and making sure that people have the opportunity to do so. So in that, you know, I don't gatekeep in any information. None of the information on my page is primarily for men. Women can access it. I think what it is that typically it is men that are seeking contact rather than mothers. But on that basis, I changed my platform from Fresh for Fathers to Fresh for Families to have a more holistic.
Okay, right. I think, look, the way I sort of say it, look, is we're here to support, just to get the gender war. You've got to remove the gender war out of this ultimately, because ultimately I say we're not here for mum or dad, we're here for kids. Let's just keep that focus, because then my point is, once you get drawn into this, but dads do this, and my point, you've lost the overall issue of we're trying to help these kids. We're trying to protect these kids and from losing their childhood. That is what it's about, right? So let's remove mum or dad out of it. It just happens to be that 90% of the non-resident parent are fathers. That's just the facts.
It's
simple. Now, obviously, there's a lot to unpack for him. There's one question that's niggling at me. So you said you've been doing this from school days, yeah? So how did you, like, in your school days, you get entangled with these sort of social situations? I mean, like, how does that come about? Like, you know?
So I grew up in South London. I grew up in Brixton, and then I moved to Peckham. But I grew up in South London, and there was a program that was targeting schools at the time that was funded by the Black Police Association. And the Black Police Association, they were going to schools and they were targeting youth that were on the verge or had all the indicators and all the kind of factors that might lead to a young person resorting to crime. I wasn't, you know, committing crime or anything like that, but I was in that demographic, should we say.
You're on road, basically. You on road, you know them characters, and if there was, you said, there's a risk of a kid, you know, walking towards that pathway, he's going to be a roadman sort of thing. You can see the leading indicators effectively. Yeah,
because I was in the mix. You know, I know people that were doing this and doing that, and I was doing a bit of this and a bit of that, but effectively, like you said, circumstantial. So they came out and they I wouldn't say targeted, but they offered this program to several students within my year 10, just before GCSEs. And it was a residential, and we learned about stop and search rights, sexual health awareness, touched on that mental health and some social justice issues. And they offered a BTEC in peer mentoring and communications at that time. And obviously, still just before I'd even taken my GCSEs, I was like, you know what? That looks interesting. That's going to be beneficial in some way, right? So I jumped at the opportunity and I took on the course, and then following that for the following years, I think 5 years between the age of 15 to 20, I kind of did outreach programs. I worked with Connections. I don't think we have Connections anymore, but we did a lot of outreach at secondary schools, speaking to young people about youth violence and relationships and boundaries and things like that. So it's kind of not ironic, but it's just interesting looking back that I was always kind of being directed in this way to kind of work in this field. And then, like I said, when I was 18, I volunteered overseas, and even in that, I actually went to college and did health and social care. And then my second year, I went to study media production. I actually wanted to get into advertising. But like Will Smith and the Fresh Prince, I got into a little bit of trouble. My mum got scared. She was Quite literally. And I've got family from St. Lucia, so she found this organization, the Daneford Trust, and they sent people to Asia, parts of Africa, and parts of the Caribbean to do voluntary work over there. And I guess it's an opportunity just kind of fell in my lap. And then once I did that and I worked with young people over there and I saw that some of the real difficulties and the real difficulties of poverty, the real difficulties of broken homes, and what led to, you know, struggling single parent backgrounds and the lack of, again, I'll avoid the gender war, but the lack of having the influence of both parents and the detriment that had on that the trajectory of their life. When I came back, I kind of didn't know what to do, didn't really know where to go with myself. And I thought, well, I like speaking with people, I like problem solving, I like finding solutions for people. And I identified that families, mum, dad, brother, sister, cousin, the wider family, I know you speak a lot about it when you speak about like the father-in-law or the mother-in-law, like it takes a community, it takes a village, right?
Yeah.
And if those foundations are not solid, my friend, she said this to me the other day, show me the boy and I'll show you the man, right? Like you see from this point where they're going. If you don't do something about it now, where they're going to end up. So I always kind of worked in this field. Okay. And then, so I fell into social work. I've always liked writing. I thought I can't really see myself doing an office job. What am I going to do? But speaking to people and listening to people and trying to help people work through their problems, that always interested.
Okay, so I'm probably really curious with this, right? So, okay, look, South London, you're 15, 16, Brixton, but you know, like you said, you were hustling and bustling, you're on the road, you're on the street, you're in an environment with all sorts of characters, I'm just, like, my point is your trajectory, like when I look at it, like my own at times and the situations I've been in and the circumstances and the environments that I've been in, one little bit of certain action here or there, my whole life trajectory could be very different. I mean, it's not in a great place now, but it could still be a lot worse in that sense, So, like, what compelled you? I sometimes think, do you think you got lucky or something compelled you? Because, like, the youngsters that are watching, when you're young and in that environment, it's very easy to fit into that because that's your family, that's society, that's your peers. It's very easy. And for you to then look at study and education, BTEC, doing this course that the college is giving you, people might look at you and think, oh, who does he think he is? Like, do you know what I'm saying? My man want to go study. People took the piss out of him. Listen, I remember back in school, if a kid was clever, you took the piss out of him. I wish I was clever now. I wish I was that kid now. But you took the piss out of a kid that got good grades and stuff. So how did you avoid that sort of thing? Do you see what I mean? How did you break out of that?
First of all, I left school with 3 GCSEs in spite of all of that, right? Because
still better than me, bro. That's 3 more than me still.
No, but I wasn't very academic. I was always good at English. I got B in English, C in English literature, and B in drama, right? Everything else I failed. But I was good at speaking. I was good at communicating with people. And to be completely honest, and I have to be honest, it was the male role models in my life. My mum, my mum and dad separated when I was younger, when I was really, really young, probably 2, 3. I've got an amazing mum. Like, my mum did everything for me and, you know, like she raised me properly. But when I was outside, I can't call her my mum, you know, and there were certain things that my mum taught me, like domestic, you know, cooking, cleaning, responsibility, accountability. Like, my mum taught me a lot of things. But going out into the world and being amongst young men, high testosterone, it's a world that my mum couldn't understand. She couldn't understand. She used to get into fights and get into problems. And no, my mum was aware of things, but there's only so much that my mum could guide me on. She had, or has rather, younger brothers, and I think her younger brother, my mum's the eldest, so her younger brothers, some of them are a bit closer in age to me. I think my youngest uncle is maybe 3 years older than me, then one's 5, then one's 7 years older. But they were doing things out in the community that really appealed to me at the time because it was what my peers were doing and what I was fascinated and intrigued by. But I remember one of my uncles, my Uncle Moses, he always emphasized getting education. get an education, right? And I remember when I got my GCSEs, and I remember going to my uncle's house, and I told him what my grades were, and he was so disappointed in me, really, and like it really bothered me. He was like an older brother, and like I felt like I'd let him down, and by that I'd obviously let myself down. Like my dad, I knew my dad. I used to see my dad every other weekend, but I was about like 15, 16, them kind of ages. My dad didn't live far from me. My dad actually had a shop on Acre Lane in Brixton. So I used to see my dad regularly outside of quarter pointed time. And if I ever needed to call my dad or speak to my dad was always available. If I needed him, he was always there. And I think throughout secondary school, my dad used to, before he got his shop, he used to buy and sell at a boot sale in Cold Harbour Lane. So I used to get up with him like 5 o'clock in the morning. We used to go and just sell stuff. Like we're talking picture frames and candles and books and bags, like anything you can think of, we sold, right? He instilled a strong work ethic in me from a young age. So as much as I got older and people were like shotting and doing certain things, I had a level of respect for my dad and understanding of what it means to actually work and graft. And at the time, I didn't want to be doing none of that. Do you know what I mean? But those are the things that he did instill in me. There's certain codes, there's certain things you don't do, there's certain ways to deal with people that he taught me, right? And I think those values really help. I've never been a thief. I've never stolen from people. He always veered me away from selling drugs. So as much as I've done some mischief, there was certain things that was like, you don't put that line, you don't do, you know?
Yeah, so there's certain principles that were instilled that you didn't cross those boundaries. I think, you know what, like, I'm telling you straight here, now that you said that, like, with all the, I could sit here and say, oh, mum and dad, typical sort of Indian, Asian, Muslim family, you know, mum and dad are sort of always there. Like, that's how we grew up. We don't know. You see this arena that we talk about, single parent. In the Asian community, Muslim community, this is like the unknown now. This is what I'm trying to say. And, as, you know, there's certain things, regardless of what I was doing out on the street with friends, I was in rooms where people were doing all sorts of drugs, and it could very easily, one pull, bro, like one, whatever you call it these days, is game over, like hard stuff, So I'm just glad, because there's certain things that apparently instilled, and I thought, nah, man, this is wrong. And those little things just stop me from crossing the boundary at one more step into the unknown where there's no return from, And I think maybe the fact that just that presence of knowing that, you know, you got both parents there, you know, that part of your life where your mum and dad, and that maybe is that what keeps you keeps these certain principles that stops you going completely feral or wild, let's just call it, or have no boundaries whatsoever. So I think that just highlights the importance of having that male presence in your life.
I had the balance. I had my mum, I had my aunties, I had my female cousins, I had that kind of feminine energy around me, but I also had that male energy. And when it comes to that being out in the streets and certain dealings with people, knowing how to handle yourself, knowing when to walk away from confrontation. I think a lot of the time we talk about toxic masculinity and it's like, oh, I did it. But there's also that element of self-preservation and understanding and being able to read a situation and knowing, look, that's not for you, or don't engage with that, or identifying certain people that are like, there's a fine line between being naughty and actually being bad. Do you know what I mean? And knowing that, like, see what that person's keeping up with, that's wrong. And I do really think I really benefited from having those influences, which, again, coming to that, what I currently do, and when we're talking about representing or advocating for parents and like looking at people's criminal history and looking at the things that they have or have not been accused of doing, and then gauging their responses as to what that person's character is. That's what makes a good parent. Yeah, your past doesn't define you as a parent, because we've all done things, you know, but it's what you learn and the accountability you take from that influences how you're going to influence your children. And those are the kind of things that I look for when I advocate for parents. Like I said, I get a lot of mums contacting me, and they're not even contacting me for my support. They're contacting me because they're in the process. Their dad has applied for a court order, and dad is saying X, Y, Z in his statement, or dad is asking for this, this, and this. Do you think this is in the best interest of the child? Do you think this is right? Do you think this is fair? So I think sometimes a lot of the mothers, they approach me asking for a male's perspective. And I think it's very evident that men and women do look at maybe the same scenario quite differently.
Okay, that's quite interesting, I find, because this is where I think I don't know how this issue with contact changes, say, from community to community, for example, right? So if you look at the sort of Asian Muslim community or the Asian community in general, we were always strong on family. This is, like I said, only in the last 10 years this has come about to the surface, and now it's growing at a rapid rate. The broken homes, single parent homes, and that sort of thing. This is a new phenomenon now, yeah. But what I've found is that in the Asian community, compared to say other, it's happening in all communities, but from the ethnic communities, I'll say, right, yeah, especially the Asian community, it's done aggressively. The child is seen as a pawn immediately, aggressively by one parent. It's a tool in the box, and once they've now, as they're discovering the laws in place that are stacked against, say, unfortunately, in 90% of cases, father, like I said, legal aid is only available to women. Then they've got this whole, like what we're finding in family court is women turn around, they're using the whole Muslim card. He looks down on women. It says in Islam that he can treat his women like this. There's a lot of these angles that are coming out that are being used in court. And what we're saying is the judge looks over, he sees a geezer with a little cap on, he's got a little hat on and a beard, and he thinks maybe some subconscious level judge might look and think, he does look a bit backward, like he does look back home type sort of thing, yeah. But man, they got no chance, and it's done aggressively. So what I'm saying to you, so in your sort of respective, say, community, do you think people are more sort of like relationship breaks down? There's an acceptance that look, shit happens. One parent don't want to be stuck with the kid all the time, so they think, listen, I got no issue with access. Yeah, we got our own issues. We need to deal with our own business, but you need to still see your kid, sort of thing. Do you find that people are more engaging or not, or still aggressively used?
I would say the latter. I think it's still a very aggressive attitude, a very hostile attitude. I think some people, when the relationship ends for whatever the reason is, I think one, there's a sense of entitlement, and I have to say, from many mothers, I think there's a sense of entitlement of, I'm the primary carer. I've always identified to be the primary carer, and maybe because they've undertaken the majority of the rearing of the child. I'm not here to argue the point, but I do think with that typically comes an attitude of, I know what's best for the child, and I think the dad sometimes gets lost in that conversation. But I think we have to bring it back to, it's not about what the mum wants or what the dad wants. It's about what the child deserves. When you look at the family court process, the dad doesn't have rights to contact with the child, but neither does the mum. It is the child that has the right to have contact with both of their parents.
Okay.
I do think it does get lost, and I think part of that is generational. So I'm mixed race. So both my parents are mixed race. My mum is St. Lucian and English. My dad is Jamaican and Italian. So both my parents are mixed race. I would say my community, my peers, the people that I typically socialize with due to where I've grown up and my background are typically of the Caribbean community. I won't even say black community because it's not particularly African, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Congolese, and whatever. It's typically Caribbean. And I think it is ingrained within the community that separated households or single parent households are almost the norm. And I do think, I don't want to get too political, but I do think that stems back to slavery, where the mother and father were separated. I do think that extends to the welfare state. When you look at America and you look at African Americans in America and you look at the impact of not having a man at home and welfare and the benefits that were offered to single mothers or to create single mother households, I do think it has a trickle down effect. And I think when we look at pop culture, as much as we're talking about the UK, we're talking about England, we are heavily influenced by our American counterparts. And I do think, particularly with social media, we gravitate to what the Americans are doing. I know growing up in school is always, when I grow up, I can't wait to move to America, because we look towards America. And those influences, like, they have a big impact on the music that we listen to, the shows that we watch, the kind of movies that we take to. Like, the influence is
we're conditioned.
undeniable. It's undeniable. And I think traditional norms have been ruptured so much within the community that we accept single parent households to be a norm, because when you have parents of this generation, our generation, and they go through a difficult time, there's almost an attitude from the previous generation that many did struggle, many did go through being separated or single parent households. They have this attitude of, well, we did all right, it's fine, it's acceptable. And I'm not here to rubbish single mothers, single fathers, single parents, but I do think there's not enough reflection and insight into the detriment of not even single parent households, but households that do, or children that do not have access to both parents. So if for whatever reason the parents can't remain in a relationship together, that happens, right? And there's various reasons for that, but I think it is fundamental. I think it is fundamental that children have access to both children. Children have access to both parents.
See, I think, okay, look, see for me, I accept everything you said, but I frame it in another way now. So you're saying, like you said, it's just an accepted position that this is normal. Say, like you said, in our community, this is normal, that it's a single parent household, it's no biggie, this is life, we ain't done too badly, that mentality, like that understanding of it, yeah? And if I look back at all the demographics that I know, so I know white people, I know loads of black people from various different, African, Caribbean, Jamaican, Central. I know Asian people who are from Guyana and places like that. So they look Indian, they are Indian, but they've got an accent, proper Ghanaian accent. So I know a multitude of people. If you look at England, like London alone now, look. Everyone knows Asian people are known to have money, sort of thing. They've got money and properties and businesses. If you look at business, enterprise, the old stereotypical doctor is an Indian, isn't he, right? Doctor, solicitor, accountant. If we go down that stereotypical route, the chances are he's probably Indian, especially in London, right? Yeah. So, and mostly, and this is what I've said, those from the Indian subcontinent originally, so Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, the Indian culture as a heritage, marriage was revered in all religions, not just Muslims, but Indian as a whole. So you stuck together through thick and thin. That's just how it was. You survived. So when they landed in England 60 years ago, head down, work, build your base, study and build. If you look at, they talk about Chinese as the fastest growing, the most, fastest progressive immigrant community. I mean, if I remember correctly from a little bit of research, not too much, just a little bit of research, was the Chinese Asians, the Chinese people, they progress fast, they come, they study, work, they build, yeah. After that, I'm sure it was from the Asian subcontinent, but this is the only thing they had, and this is what I go back to. If you look at the last 40 years, when I was a kid, I knew English people then, they had like single parent homes then. As a kid, even growing up until now, I never fully understood the implications of, like you said, just a single parent home, but no be. I don't know that side because I've always seen, I never imagined that my parents would be together. It's beyond an imagination, it's beyond belief. Like it would never happen, sort of thing. Yeah. So the knock-on effect, if you look at the communities, they're known to do well. And this is what I'm saying for the Asian community. This is the unknown, and we don't know what this looks like. Now we're going to know in another 10, 15 years. Now I'm not saying the whole community is good and great, but if you look at it as an overall, that stereotypical view, they're known to be a lot more progressive. That's why when I scan over it like that, I sort of can see it just from my own life experience, where I can see having the family unit, the traditional family unit, both parents, how it can impact as a community as a whole. And then add to that, we've got our mosques and the temples, added community. Like you said, it takes a whole village to raise a child. That added community, extended family, cousins, uncle. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very family oriented. And it's been like that for a long time. It's only now that we've entered this unknown in the Asian community. And the impacts of this is not for today. Maybe
I say
10, 15 years.
I agree with you. I say I call it normalized dysfunction, right? And people, what do you mean? It's a norm. It's become normalized. but it is dysfunction. And I think a lot of people try and argue that the success rates of single parent households, they're equivalent to joint households. And look, I think people find it very uncomfortable to accept, at least this is a personal opinion, right? But there is evidence to support this. A two-parent household, the nuclear family, the success rate of academia, of not going to prison, of not having children out of wedlock, like the evidence is there, right? But people find it so difficult to accept that because of the circumstances that they're in, being single parents. I'm a co-parent, I guess, but I would still, to some degree, say I'm a single parent, because when I have my children, I don't have a partner. It's just me and my children. I cook, I clean, undertake all of duties. So I accept that I'm not entirely a single parent, but well, this is the other thing. When people say, oh, I'm a single parent, it's like, well, you're not a single parent, you got a co-parent. But in the eyes of my children, I am a single parent. When my children come to my house, they only see me. I do everything that their mum does within her household. And I think it's difficult for people to accept or reflect on the fact of how things could have been potentially better if the two parents remained together and committed to raising their children. Now, like I said, there are various reasons, and I don't think you should stay together simply because you have children. I think if you're in a violent relationship, if you're in a financially abusive relationship, if you're in and I don't like to throw around abuse, but if there is evidence, like real abuse, because I think it's easy to say, well, I didn't like the way that person spoke to me, it's abuse. Well, you might have disagreed with them. That doesn't mean that they were abusive towards you. Right? Like, it's difficult because you can't tell me if I feel that you've been abusive towards me. You might disagree, that might not have been your intention, but you still might have been abusive. But I do think people cop out and say, oh, well, I was in an abusive relationship. Well, did you disagree with that person? Did you have different values? Did you have different desires and outcomes for your life? That's fine as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean abuse. But my point is, people don't always stick together, and that's fine. But me personally, and I won't get into all the reasons why me and the mother of my children are not together, but what I will say is I've passed the point of blaming myself for how the situation panned out. But there is an element of me that does feel guilt and does feel that I failed my children by not keeping the family together. And if in a million timelines and a million alternate realities, me and this person couldn't be together, I still hold a level of guilt that I did not choose a suitable partner that aligned with my views that I could raise my children together with. Because for me, that would be the prime objective, to raise my children in a loving household with the mother of my children.
I think that's very well sort of put, really. Ultimately, as human beings, that what is our objective in life is to raise our children in a secure, safe environment with love from both parents, making them the best human beings that will contribute to society. I mean, that is ultimately what all of our purpose is, but unfortunately...
How can that not be the ideal that you strive for?
Yeah.
Again, there's reasons why it doesn't, but how can that not be the ideal that you strive for? I don't see anyone would commit to the idea of having children with the intention of not raising these children with the person that you created them with. And I think anyone that says that is not being true to themselves, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is quite an interesting topic. I think you know what, we could like dedicate a whole podcast just talking about this society, this ideology. I'm going to ask you just one more political sort of question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Then we'll move on a little bit. Yeah. So I'll try and think I'm being out of order. Just say so because some people get funny about it. So like if you look at say the issues, I'll say the word the black community. The police stop search sort of stuff they keep going, the knife crime, the knife epidemics across communities, this and that. Yeah. But do you think like that element of the fatherlessness issue amongst the black community in that sense is a doubt? Because I've asked this question to some people, they sort of try and cover it. Some people say no, some people say no, it's the same as all communities, no different. Do you think there is a direct correlation? And I'll say, base this on your experience of growing up South London. You know that what you know the Caribbean part of your community and your heritage. You work in social work. You've been in court. You know that landscape from, say, further deeper within. Would you say that it is a direct impact ultimately?
Sorry, are you asking me what is say the question in just like a simple sentence?
Yeah. Just to simplify the question. So
I've got the context of the question, but yeah.
No, I just wanted to cover the context. So I didn't want someone to say he's trying to say black people are like this or that or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So this whole, the stop search situation going on amongst, say, young black youth. Like you said, when you see young black men in South London, let's say just from your own area location. So you see young black men off the block and the estate, all of that. The leading indicators are like, they're all going to be roadmen sort of thing. Is that a direct impact of the fatherlessness situation, the lack of fathers or the lack of presence of fathers with their children?
So first of all, I do want to say that actually black fathers are very, very present in their children's lives, and probably the demographic that is actually most present in their children's lives, even in separation. However, and you can research that, that's a fact. But what I will say is, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because there is this narrative of fathers being absent from the home, and it's almost a joke which becomes a reality and becomes a truth. And that goes back to what I said earlier, where it's become a norm, because it's almost expected and anticipated that that father is not going to be around. So many people enter the journey of parenthood expecting the black father to be absent. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the minute he doesn't meet the expectation of what they believe a father should be, they're quick to oust him and kick him out, because of course he's going to do that. Of course he's not going to be present for his children. Of course he's not. So it's difficult for people to actually plan ahead and envision a reality where the mother and father are going to live together. And I do think that is in part due to media, and I think the issue is very much more prevalent in America than it is within the UK. But again, I spoke about the influences that the Americans do have over the UK, and there is this attitude, like how many jokes about dad going out for milk and not coming back, to a point where it is so ingrained within people that it is conditioning. It is conditioning, because they automatically assume that he is not going to be present, he is not going to be around. And I think I saw a video on the baby fathers not too long ago, and it was very much that, like, when fathers actually turn up at school appointments and turn up at hospital appointments, the kind of attitude from professionals towards the parents are very different, because they almost expect that the mother is going to be the only person raising this child.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Right. Okay, that's interesting. That's actually really interesting. So, because that's what society's labeled you as, another waste man, he ain't going to be there. As soon as you make one foot wrong, this and that, told you, he's a waste man, forget him, don't give him contact, and then that the cycle, that prophecy just sort of continues. That's very interesting, man. That's very interesting.
And there were many broken homes in previous generations. I think that there is strong evidence that this generation of fathers are much more present, much more active, and much more hands-on than generations of before. But what happens is, when you have a mum and a dad of this generation that get into conflict or get into a disagreement, you have the previous generation speaking to the mothers of this generation and kind of reiterating the narrative. Your dad wasn't around, he was absent, I did all right by myself, I raised you by myself, you don't need me.
I see this now. Yeah, I see this now. See, because of how you've explained, I see this from a completely different angle, and I get it. I think I get it a bit more now. Yeah, definitely, because I see where you're coming from now. I sort of get it. Fabian, I'm just going to read out some of these comments, see if there's any questions in there we can just cover quickly. Right. Do different judges, example, feminist judges come to biased, unfair judgments? Don't have to answer that, Fabian, but what would you say to that, just to put it out there?
What would I say to that? I would say it's the same with any profession. It's the same with social workers. It's the same with a GP. It's the same with, we have cultural competence, and that's something that we were just discussing. That your culture is different to my culture, so you would have an insight into your culture that from the outside I might just make an assumption because I don't know, I'm not part of your culture, right? And I think there's definitely, we have different gender cultures. And I do think the difficulty is identifying whether it was conscious or unconscious bias. I do think it'd be ignorant to suggest that there is no bias. And that bias stems from maybe personal experience and professional experience, but certainly from gender. I think, you know, as a man, you're going to have an insight as a father, and whether explicitly or consciously being aware, you might have a slight bias towards a man. If you're a woman, Judge, you might have a bias toward, you might be a victim of abuse yourself. You might have experienced a difficult situation yourself, and then you overextend yourself. When we talk about like believing female victims of abuse, right? People, if you are a woman that has experienced any form of abuse and you've spoken out about it and not been believed, the next time a woman comes out and speaks about abuse, you're going to be more inclined to speak on behalf and advocate for that person, even if you don't have all the facts and evidence, because you know what it feels like to be marginalized. So to answer the question, do different judges, e.g. feminist judges, come to bias unfair judgments? In a nutshell, I think I'd have to say yes. But what I would taper that answer off with is the same could be said for male judges towards men. To be balanced, I think I'd have to say that.
I think to be balanced, what I say to that also is, look, I've been to family court, and I have to say I had a female judge, elderly judge, on the first one, and went my way. Great. She actually thanked me. She said, she was actually saying, I hardly said two words, and she goes, "You presented yourself very well, Mr. Ishmael. We need more men like that." I'm like, okay, great, yeah. All this, yeah, but so, you know, we could all, the horror stories we hear more of. Second time I went, judge was a bit straight to the point, this and that, but it was a fair judgment. So, I mean, my child access is all a bit of a mess when I did finally get to court. But look, I say to people, if you go with that negative subtext, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Negativity is generally a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, believe you're going to win, put your best foot forward, and do everything you can. Don't leave no stone unturned. Because I see guys say, no, I ain't paying for a guy, I'm paying for Mackenzie. I'll go with, it's easy. Your Mackenzie might pick up a one or two things or calm me down that one or two moments here and say, listen, don't get too excited, be polite. One or two little words that he's picked up on, that could change your whole thing. But people go in with that, then they misrepresent themselves because they don't know what's being said or not said, or they don't fully understand. Then the other side then play games with them, they fall for it, and it all goes downhill, and they say, oh, we told the systems unfair. We know this, but go in with your best foot forward. Don't take any chances. Let me bring on his next question, Fabian.
Because people are people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, like we are subject to human error, and that doesn't make it right, and that doesn't make it acceptable. But it is a matter of fact. Like, you know, you walk down the street and you see someone, maybe based on their appearance, you might make a judgment. Now, whether you follow through on that judgment or not, but we make snap judgments.
100%. Listen, we are all conditioned by our filters. Our filters came to us from our upbringing, our environment, our parents, the people we hung about with. We all have some sort of filters or other. We all have certain stereotypical ideas in our head. I mean, you've heard the old saying, we're all racist on some level or other. I'm sure we all have our own bias, conscious or unconscious.
It's what you do about them and whether you act on them.
Yes, it's understanding yourself. It comes back to knowing yourself. But before I go into a speech here, Fabian, let me bring on the next question. Yeah? How do family courts deal with the primary care of mothers during minor parental alienation? Now, this is a sore subject, as you know, Fabian. What would you say to that?
It's a difficult one. I spoke to a father earlier on within the week, and I think the mother didn't allow the child to go for contact on Father's Day, and she says that the child was sick, right? And it's like, the child might not have been sick. There's no evidence that the child was sick. The child went to school the following day. But in terms of the family court, in terms of like, is it unreasonable, just for argument's sake, is it unreasonable for the mother not to send the child to have contact with the dad because the child is sick? No judge is going to rule against the mother in making that decision. And I think the difficulty with that, let's say the child wasn't sick at all, and mum just didn't want to take the child to contact, which I suspect was the situation. how do you evidence that? How do you prove that the child wasn't sick?
Yeah.
How do you prove that the child didn't throw up half an hour ago? Or so how do the family courts deal with the primary care mothers doing parent? So I don't know if we're talking about once a court order's been in place or whether you're going through the process, but I think there
all
has
of his
to be.
days. He's saying all of his days, so presumably he's got an order and he's got his days set. I'm presuming.
What I would say is for you to have a strong argument against that, you're going to have to be able to prove that mum did not send the child for contact for invalid reasons. And I think that's quite difficult to prove unless you've got in writing, I just don't want to send a child to you today because you always send them back in dirty clothes or something, unless you got something tangible. I mean, if there's a consistent pattern and there's a consistent excuse, or it's always last minute, document it, record it. But the issue with that is you would have to then, if you've already got a court order in place, you're going to have to go back to court to present that evidence.
Enforcement. You have to go for an enforcement order. Yeah.
You're going to have an enforcement order. So how do the courts deal with it? The courts deal with parental alienation, I would say, quite severely on the one hand, but being able to evidence that it is alienation is very, very difficult. And that's where the problem lies. Because I think if there's strong evidence of it, you know, like the child is meant to go have contact with dad, but mum took the child to Greece for the week, and then the child was meant to go Father's Day, and then the mum took the child to Scotland. Like, you got evidence of that. That's evident that the mum is not adhering to the court order. But proving that is parental alienation is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I think it comes back down to you've got to put it in context. See, what I say to fathers is these situations are frustrating, but listen, you got to dig deep, you got to stay cool, you got to stay composed. And this, like Fabian said, it's how you can evidence it. All you would say is keep your messages, keep documents, records, date, time, incident. If this now becomes a pattern every week, date, time, incident, it's unwell every week. If you do something silly, you've lost what you had. Play the game, play cool, right? Don't let the other side think it's getting to you. And I think once you got a few weeks and months of these breaches, then you can go for an enforcement. Then you got, again, everything with family court is strategic. You got to cover all bases, but the key is stay cool, and you can't just go in there throw parental alienation. It's how you present it, how you demonstrate it. It can't just look like you're firing shots for the sake of it. So you got to play the game, yeah.
And it has to be like, I know it said minor parental alienation, but it has to be significant. If you're talking like 2 out of 10 contacts, it's not even worth the judge's time. And I mean that as empathetic as I can, because I understand what that's like. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not going to hold any weight to the judge. Well, look, she missed 2 contacts. Big deal. And it's big deal to the judge because honestly, it's not the judge's lived reality. The judge isn't going home and sleeping in their bed and not seeing their daughter. So again, it's so far removed. So you have to take the emotion out of it and just look at the facts. Can I evidence this? Can I prove this? What is the impact of this on the child? And if I can't prove any of those things and I can't highlight and evidence what the impact is on the child, unfortunately, like I do, it's sad. It is sad, but it doesn't amount to anything.
Right, listen, we've got 19 watching live. Can you all please hit the like button? Fabian, before we move on to the next questions, I just want to touch on this a little bit as there's a lot of people watching now, right? So, and not from a legal or a social services perspective, but as a perspective from someone who's co-parented and someone who's experienced in the field. If you are that father where you rock up and these games start and you miss that day, you go home frustrated, I can only imagine what that will feel like. You're looking forward to the weekend, you rock up in your car, little gift for the kids, want to take them out, and they start these games. I mean, what else can you add to? What would you say, other than the legal aspect? How does a non-resident parent who's trying to co-parent, how does he deal with that emotionally, mentally? How do you get through it? Like, what would you say to that?
I think this is probably the most important element, and same was the most important element in my process. You need to build a strong support network of people that you can speak to, people that you can shout at, people that you can vent to, people that you can cry to, right? Because you're going to go through a myriad of emotions, and you need people to be able to understand and be available for you. And when you're in the mix of it, you need people that are far enough removed from the situation that they're going to give you good advice. They're going to talk you out of turning up at this person's house and trying to kick in the door to see your children. You need a support network. I cannot, like, it's not necessarily of professionals or people that are going to write statements for you, but you might just need a friend that you're going to go out with. And I remember I went to Devon where my dad lives, and I just chopped up so much wood, man. Like, you just got an axe and some wood, and I just chopped up wood until I couldn't feel my arms anymore, right? But you need people that you can just like
bounce off of.
That are going to catch you, because you're falling. You are falling. You're going to have people to catch you. And in that situation, when they're playing those kinds of games, you have two options. You lose your temper and you like do something that you will inevitably regret, because I remember my dad was saying to me, like your anger, you can't express your anger in that way, but the anger has to go somewhere.
Yeah,
I think people say like, "Oh, you don't be angry," or no, you're angry and you're entitled, but the anger has to go somewhere, and it has to go somewhere that is
positive.
Safe. It has to go somewhere safe. So you have to identify a strategy to get rid. Like mine was chopping the wood that time. Like by the time I was done, I still felt upset. I was still hurt, but the rage was gone. The rage was evaporated from me.
100%. Look, I say to fathers that rage and anger is raw emotional fuel, man. It's nuclear strength that you can either put it towards positivity and it'll have positive outcomes. Yeah, divert it, use it in the right way. Otherwise, it'll implode and it'll damage. A nuclear energy can destroy a whole city, or it can power a whole city. It's all in your mind. Take that energy and put it to something that will help you going forward or your situation. Right, let's move along, Fabian, to the next one. This looks like a direct shot at social services. Don't take it personally. Respond if you want. Obviously positive if you can, or just say it as you see it. Right, why do social services lie on all their let's make insane accusations with no evidence, and the police and everyone lets them get away with it? What would you say to that, Fabian?
Why social services lie on all the letters and make insane accusations with no evidence, and the police and everyone lets them get away with it? So social services, they make risk assessments. They do make decisions based on the likelihood of, right? So you might have done something you might not specifically done something, but unfortunately your history does hold weight on the influence of social services. So if you've got a history of domestic violence and domestic abuse to 2-3 other women, if this woman now is making allegations against you, even if you've not done anything to this person, based on the potential of risk and the identified risk, they're going to make a judgment in respect of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I can answer that question, I think.
Okay, no, fair enough.
Why police and everyone lets them get away with it? Because the police have no bearing over social services the same way social services have no bearing over the police. The best thing you can do if you do feel that you have been maltreated or there's been malpractice, you can formally request to raise a complaint, and you can, whoever that is, if you find me on Instagram and DM me, just so I know who you are, I will give you the exact information you need, because there's a process to making a formal request. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you can get an independent adjudicator to hold social services accountable and do an independent investigation. So if you DM me, I'll get that information to you.
Right, Dark Side Cider, can you DM Fabian? Oh, that's his Instagram account. DM him on there and he'll help you out. Yeah, I think, okay, look, Fabian, let's just tackle this and address this now as we're on the subject of social service. I'm sure you know, amongst a lot of these, let's say, non-resident parent groups, fathers groups, whatnot, there's a lot of horror stories around social services. And I know bad news travels fast. People only hear the bad stuff. You don't see maybe all the other good stuff that goes on. And social services in the father space is mostly related to CFCAS and CFCAS reports and the CFCAS situation now. along with the rest of the family court, we know how what difficult and uphill battle fathers have, and CFCAS get a lot of bashing where people say they're out to get them. Obviously, I know you work in the field. I don't want to put you in any compromising situation, but what would you say to that generally? Do you think that the negativity that we hear towards CFCAS and the horror stories, are they, from your experience, you don't even have to answer it, if it compromises you, but do you think they're justified in that resentment towards CFCAS?
I think, right, I actually saw this on a podcast the other day. I have to shout them out, Tea with the Social Workers. They made a very, very valid point on their latest episode. And I guess on an individual person by person basis, it might not mean anything. It might not amount to anything. But if you know how many cases and how many families that CFCAS and social services work with, and then you see the outcomes, on balance, I would argue that there are more positive outcomes than negative outcomes. But the positive outcomes don't get the spotlight. They don't get broadcasted. People don't speak about the positive outcomes because who? But I know a lot of people have had a lot of negative experiences with social services, which is one of the reasons why I became a social worker myself. And I think if you spoke to 100 of the families that I work with, I would like to believe maybe 70% have had like good experiences with me, maybe more, hopefully. But if you speak to 30 of those 100, they might hate me. I maybe think that social services says that they are, So when you're on the back end, and I've had personal experience with social services myself, and it wasn't nice, and I didn't agree with some of the comments made and some of the reports that were written. I really didn't agree, and I felt that it was wrong, which is why I said for him to DM me, because I know how to go through the process, because I did go through it myself. But I would say that, I think it is justified. We're talking about families. We're talking about your lived experience. We're talking about your children. And I guess if you get, or for the most part, if you get an outcome that is not the outcome that you saw, you're going to feel that you have been mistreated or poorly judged or haven't had the due diligence undertaken. And when it is you as the individual, I even got the outcome that I wanted from court, and there were still things that CFCAS had said that I wholeheartedly disagreed with, to the point that I was going to challenge it. The only reason why I didn't challenge it is because effectively I got the outcome that I wanted, and I didn't want to seem to be punitive or to rock the boat on the sake of things that were accurate. But even in saying that, like I said, I had a positive outcome, but I still was not completely impressed or in agreement with some of the recommendations and decisions that were made.
I think the issue is this, and I think the way you said it, and this highlights what the issue actually is. CFCAS are only involved because mother has made abuse allegation, and the problem is that word is thrown around so easily, and the threshold for what they deem or classify as abuse in the family court, other than, like I said, like legit threat to life, physical harm, financial abuse, like it is, and it's done on a balance, not on evidence or probability. So you're defending these allegations that hold no merit or have no evidence. Hence, CFCAS getting involved. They're going to try and base it not on evidence, but okay, who's right, who's wrong. One parent just looks like the victim and looks weaker. And I think with like the rest of the court system, he's a bloke, he'll be all right. We just can't take the risk and say he's safe. So we'll just lean towards caution. And then unfortunately, one parent gets a bad outcome, hence they're all, evil, or they're all biased. And maybe they are subconsciously biased due to the conditioning we have by society overall. You can argue,
I agree with merit in that.
So, and I think the reason social services get linked to family court is purely because of that. And the problem is, again, the abuse allegations are linked to legal aid. So there's a lot of abuse in itself of the abuse card to secure abuse or defrauding the legal aid system. And that's where, unfortunately, the situation. That's where it all crumbles down, and then social services get dragged into this mess while people are making money on the back of this allegation. That's the problem with it ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, it is an institution, it is a business, it is a government service. You know, like there are no absolutes, and I do think for as many people who are in the game for the right reason, there are as many people that are in the game for the wrong reasons. And I do think personal judgments and personal experiences do influence some professional judgment in many cases. And I think, how do you target that? I think we target and challenge that by having these conversations. We highlight the positives, we highlight the good outcomes to let people know that it's not all doom and gloom, but we do address the difficulties within the system that have been identified. We do address the biases, we do address the cultural incompetence, we do address the gender bias and gender discrimination. I think it's important to have these conversations, and you know, there's many people that have great experiences and many people that have negative experiences, but I think holistically we need to speak about these things, and that's the only way that we can invoke change. Because we're speaking right now, one of these people on live, they might go on to be a next CFCAS officer, they might go on to be a judge, they might go on to be a social worker, and that's how we invoke change.
Okay, so look, Fabian, no, 100%. Okay, but let me ask you a question, an indirect question. Yeah. So, say a friend of yours was a social worker, a friend of yours, and you came across, say, a friend of mine, someone like me, who's got a CFCAS meeting with a CFCAS officer or a phone call. Yeah. Now, let's say my friend is facing the classic, threat to life, the old throttling card. He tried to throttle me. He never gave me any money. He didn't love his daughters. He was biased towards his son more than his daughters because he's a bit backward and he's a bit Muslim like that, whatever. Yeah. And like I said, for someone who's just a normal everyday family man, one day, next thing you're facing all of this, it's such a shock to the system. So say this friend of mine is facing this, and say a friend of yours who might be a social worker sees it. And he's all the problem, and I think this is where the problem is. The man sitting there answering these questions, he's already disgusted at the fact that he's been asked these questions. He's not allowed to see children because he's been labeled as a monster. And let's say, as a social worker, say a social worker, he's sitting there, he knows this guy, looks at him and thinks, yeah, listen, you don't look like you could fight your way out of a paper bag here, let alone do what's being alleged here. Yeah, you look at some guy and think, listen, mate. None of this ever happened. You know that energy. You see them, you know that energy, yeah. And you're still trying to do your job because you have a framework that you work to. You can't breach that framework. What is that social worker to do? How do they tackle these situations where the guy's innocent? This is all garbage, but you're stuck with that framework. How do they deal with this conflict? How would you say your friend would deal with
social worker or a social worker? Yeah.
Okay. The social worker CFCAS, are the social workers not also the same people that work for CFCAS ultimately?
Yeah. This is the part of the practice that is crucial, I think. It is in asking the right questions to both the alleged perpetrator, but also the alleged victim. So it's exploring the narrative that is being offered up, to think about the question, think about the answers that you're looking for. It's interesting because there's actually a current petition. Mel B is advocating strongly for this petition. I'm actually going to do a post on it tomorrow, but she is advocating for court professionals and judges to have compulsory domestic abuse training. And I do think that is a step in the right direction, because I do think a lot of judges, particularly, they're not experienced in domestic violence. So they look at the allegations, they look at the probability and the potential. But when you're experienced and knowledgeable on the dynamics of domestic abuse and violence, not that you're trying to catch people out, but the questions that you will ask and the responses that will offered up, you will be able to identify the validity the allegations.
Yes. Okay. No, that's
I'm gonna send. I'll send it to you after this. I'll send it to you because it was quite interesting actually.
no. I think that is bang on, and I think they need that training because currently, like we've already said many times now, the societal position is woman comes in crying and screaming. Let's say, say if it's my community, geezer comes from behind, big butch bloke with a massive beard and a hat, throw for you, like straight away, subconscious, even me, a subconscious bias. Like, what a basket, poor girl. Like, I mean, you just think like that. And just a big black guy come walking in thinking, oh, bro, he looks like a wife. That stereotypical when he walks into court. I mean, what chance have you got? And this is what I'm saying. So if we then look at it the other way, the male abuse, do they take the same framework and then apply it to the male victims of abuse? Because I know we've spoken. Did we speak about this? But the male victims of domestic abuse, are they given the same seriousness by social services, CFCAS, social work? What would you say? Because from the inside,
I would say, and I need to go after this question through, but that's a really, really good question. I would say there is a distinction between domestic violence and domestic abuse. When you're speaking about domestic violence, typically it's much more evidence that violence has occurred. Yeah, if you hit someone, they might bruise, they might have a bust lip, they might have a black eye. Well, it's much more easier to evidence. Whereas abuse, putting someone down, calling them names, not letting them go and see their friends, not letting them have their car keys so they can drive out and go and see their mates or wherever it is. My argument is always, what is more significant, physical violence or psychological abuse? And I think the problem is when we speak about physical violence, we typically talk about extremes where someone has got a busted jaw or a broken arm. But physical abuse could be a push, could be a kick, could be a slap.
Yeah.
In a previous relationship, I was subject to domestic violence myself. And what I would say is, this woman, she didn't put me in hospital or anything like that, right? But for me, the psychological impact of someone like taking liberties with my person, someone putting their hands on me, someone kind of crossing that line that I wouldn't accept from a man out in the street, someone that I'm intimate with treating me like that, it really had a significant detrimental impact on my mental health, on my sense of self, on my self-esteem and worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say that to say the physical element of it wasn't significant, but the mental element, the psychological element was very, very detrimental. But it's not something that you can really point a finger at or put your hand on or evidence. I didn't go to the GP and get antidepressants. I wasn't, but I was bedridden. I quit work. I couldn't work. I became a shell of my former self. I do think the same screening, the same assessment, the same processes are used, but I do think the impact of domestic abuse is harder to identify what the impact actually is. And I do think psychological abuse is not, it is not granted the same severity as physical abuse does.
Fabian, you said you've got to go. So I say thank you for your time. Do you say you got to go? Yeah.
I've got to go. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. Listen, Fabian. Look, thank you for your time. You've got 27 watching live. We're just getting really heated. I think we could talk for hours. Yeah. So look, we'll have to arrange another one sometime soon. Yeah. I think we went down too many rabbit holes and there's too much conversation still to be had. So look, thank you for your time. I appreciate everything you're doing, and we'll catch up. Hopefully we'll do one again soon, and we'll catch up soon, yeah?
We'll continue to talk, but thank you for having me. And yeah, I look forward to the next one. Definitely speak with you again soon, man.
Absolutely. Fabian, have a good evening, mate. Speak soon.
Take care.
Guys, that was Fabian. I've still got a bit of time, so I'm going to continue on. I'm going to try and go through the comments and the questions and answer them best I can. That was Fabian. He does work in the front line. He is in the field. and it was good to get his insight. I think there was too much ground to cover. And as you know, on these streams, 1 hour just goes just like that. Right, let's go to comments from Game Reaper. The problem I face is Women's Aid have coerced my ex into making false allegations to get legal aid. Despite the facts of the case, the system entertains this. The system does entertain this 100% because it is a system. It's a system that makes a lot of money on the back of this. And they have monetized, as I said, they have monetized the basic human emotion of the family unit. The family unit as a concept, the traditional family unit and the breakup of the family unit has been monetized. It's a system that has monetized it. It's as simple as. And look, I've said on many streams and podcasts before, WA, let's just call it WA, I don't want to name them. WA are an organization. The more people you have come through the door, the more heads you tick off, the more funding you get. The more funding you get, you need these people to come through the door. You need these victims to come through the door so you can claim the funding from the government. It's a business. Unfortunately, legal aid lawyers, they secure legal aid. So WA secure a legal aid, then you get referred to that lawyer. Who knows where these brown envelopes go, how closely connected they are, who knows? Fake family courts, yeah, I know the feeling, bro. Hold on, let me bring your comment up. Dark side cider, fake family courts. I know the feeling, I know the sentiment. Reach out to Fabian if you got issue with something. Reach out to him, DM him on his Instagram, Fresh for Families. He will help you out. You know, he said he'll help you out, or he'll look at what your situation is. He might be able to give you some advice. Take it. I would say take it. Game Reaper. Indeed, the court system is rife with corruption and misandry, big time. It's again, but this misandry that you're talking about, Game Reaper, understand this, is a product of the society that we're in now. It is currently the society we live in and that we are conditioned to. Budasa Teague, salute to Brother Farouk. Respect to you, my man. Appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate this. Marriage causes divorce. Crazy how fathers do not have rights to see their kids. As Fabian mentioned, let me clarify this again. Yeah, look, I thought, from what I understood, which I'll clarify with Mr. Ryan when he comes back on, yeah, is a father has no automatic rights and law to see his children. Yeah, and once he leaves the family unit, the family home, he's lost any little right that he had. What I always understood is mother had some automatic rights. If Fabian is saying that's not correct, I'm going to jump on with Mr. Ryan. When Mr. Ryan comes on again, we're going to clarify this fully. But it's only a child that has a right to spend time with both parents. That's the law. That's family law, the Children's Act. A child has the right to spend time with both parents. Under that premise and grounds is what you're going to family court with. Not your rights as a father, because you ain't got no rights. Straight. From what Fabian's saying, that applies to mums as well, but I understood it as mum has some automatic rights. Let me sort some more light out. There you go. Sort some more light out. Right, let's go on to the next one. Was it Mustafa? I don't know. Mr. M. How do I deal with CFCAS making recommendations for completing Freedom Online program despite no fact finding to support this? Crap, I should have asked him that while he was here. Apologies. What I'll do, Mr. M, let me come back to you. If you email me, I'll come back to you with an answer. There is an issue with this. I'll get Mr. Ryan to come back to you with an answer. Drop me an email on disqualified.dads@gmail.com. Marriage causes divorce, another Mr. M. Unfortunately, lots of people are divorce material. Yeah, tell me about it, bro. Loads of divorce material out there. A black father discriminated against the family court. I think, okay, look, this is just my opinion at this stage, I'll say, yeah. As I've said, you've gone into family court, yeah. We know what's going on with Muslim fathers now. And I'll say it like this. So, Muslim, or say fathers from the Asian, Indian subcontinent, Pakistani, Bangladeshi. You go into family court. Your missus is there saying, he's forcing me to wear this hijab. He, even though she was wearing it from before you knew her, yeah, he forced me to wear this hijab, niqab, right? Yeah, they're giving it all that, right? She's crying her eyes out. He's Muslim. He's backward. He's from a village in Bangladesh. His family are villagers. They're fishermen. He's Pathan. They're backwards. They're from the mountains. They look down on women. They treat women badly. This is what he's about. And they see some. Let's go Pathan. There's a big 6 foot Pathan standing there, 6.5 foot bald. He's got topi on. So he's got a beard. Say he's got a jump on. Say he went to court with a jump on because that's who he is. Judge might look at him, and this is what I'm saying, that unconscious bias. Forget the judge. I might look at him and think, shit, how backward he's a bit. But I might even fall for it. This is what I'm trying to say to you. It's a societal position. It's a societal position. Let me tell you a little story now, yeah? I went to look at this favor for a friend of a friend. They wanted a Ringo doorbell fitted. They said, look, just do them a favor, help them out, old couple, right? So when I went to this house, couple, it must be in their 50s, late 50s, if not early 60s, right? Couple there. And they didn't realize I spoke the same language as them, but I was talking in English. Being a professional, I was talking in English. So what happens now? The lady of the house, she's explaining the job to me, this and that. Look, I want this done. I want it done like this. I want this here, this there. Husband standing there, he steps in to say, look, like to try and talk to say, look, I want this like this, or can you put this wire here or do this or that? And in Gujarati, she says to him, not knowing I understand, look, you just stay quiet, you just shut up, don't say a word, I'm doing all the talking, right? In my head, I'm laughing, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, how cute, what a cute couple, look like they've been together for centuries, for ages, like, what I mean? They've been together a long time. Again, she's explaining this, that, back and forth. I say this, and what about this? Do you want the wire here, there? He tries to talk. She shuts him down, this and that. Long story short, I jump back in my van. And I start driving off. What happens? In my head, I'm thinking, what a nice, sweet, cute couple. And then I thought, hold on. If this was the other way around, I would have thought in my heart, oh, yeah, it's typical old school sort of man. Don't let his wife speak. Do you see what I'm saying? When it was the other way around, when this lady was telling her, similar age, elderly husband to shut his mouth, she's going to do the talking. Literally, the words were, keep your mouth shut, do not speak. I'm doing the talking, I'm explaining. And again, look, even now, think about it, it's all very cute and sweet and, lovely couple, they've been together forever. When I was driving away, I still thought that only when I stopped to think for a second, if this was the other way around, I would have automatically, subconsciously said, what a monster. Poor woman ain't got a voice. She can't say nothing. He's old school, this and that. So imagine in the family court, if we would think, I would have thought like this before I entered the system or until this happened to me. So when you walk into the family court, the chances are judge looks over. Again, like stereotypical views. Let's say he's a Muslim guy, big black Muslim guy. He's got a hat and a beard, yeah. Same outcome, it's that subconscious where they might look old. Look, he might get lucky. But I'm just saying the chances are, and what, again, shout out to Ahmed Raydan of MFSF, what they're finding, because they represent a lot of brothers, is that card sticks. And the reason he sticks as well is because who do you think told them about this? Who do you think made these allegations? WA go into a community or an area, they find out the demographic, they employ people from that demographic, they find out about the little culture, the religions, all the little nuances, and they make a blueprint on the back of that. Because they got to secure that legally, they got to secure that money. So yeah, I would say anyone can be discriminated against. Again, look, and I'll say this as well, look. For example, and I've given the example of the white guy. White people. So I said they're discriminated. White fathers are discriminated. Disabled men have been discriminated against the family. Because forget everything else. If disabled people are discriminated against, what chance has anyone else got? And the other thing is, look, the white guy analogy that I've given, you go to family court, what are you going to say? Oh, he goes to the pub, he gets drunk, watches football on a Sunday afternoon. That's what it used to be. And beats me up. You know what I mean? He's a Muslim guy, he's backward, he looks down on women, he's forcing me to wear a hijab. They've got all different cards. It can make it stick wherever. One thing I'll give to family court is, look, it's universal. It ain't a black or a white issue. It's a gender issue. That's the point. 90% of non-resident parents are men, are fathers. Next comment. Sorry, went banging on a bit too much here. Humans, including judges, are definitely biased. No one has a perfect judgment. Exactly. You need a decent Mackenzie friend by your side for it. Definitely. Mr. Ryan, I definitely do. I think we all need a decent Mackenzie friend by our side. Just let me know when you find one. Sorry, Mr. Ryan. Apologies. I take that back, Mr. Ryan. You're still my Mackenzie. You'll always be my Mackenzie. I take that back. Right, here you're talking about decent Mackenzies, Mr. Ryan. This is Mr. Ahmed here. Mr. Ahmed Radar. Do social services get training on domestic abuse from Women's Aid? Crap. What I'll do when Fabian comes on again, I will put that to him. I was trying to give him enough space to talk. I didn't want to come down too heavy on him. Obviously I didn't want him to risk losing, he's working in the field. I didn't want him to compromise himself. But look, we will get him on again. We will be asking these questions. A very good point, Mr. Ahmed. By the way, shout out to Ahmed Raidan. He was on the Muslim Mum just before this show. Again, he articulated his story and situation very well. One thing that stood out with me again, very profound, is when I was married, we weren't working as a team. It was her and him, them and us. We're better than him, from her and her family and extended family. That, when someone says, how do you describe that? This is the problem. That behavior is very difficult to describe. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it's how you're spoken to. You can't, when, as a man, when someone's disrespecting you, or they're giving you that look, or they're talking down to you. And in the community, he's done indirectly. So he wasn't, again, I say this, if she was working with him, it might have been good enough to carry on, but that constant combative nature where he, like you said, he wasn't ready for it, it wasn't what he wanted, but he was there. But it might have been okay if she participated, not them and us. You need to do this for me. It's your job to do this. He's just a wage slave, an emotional punch bag. And when you go to the rest of our extended families, they just sort of shit on you as well, telling you, how you're no good, this and that, because deep down they look down on you. I'll tell you straight, my own situation. I think the abuse and the disrespect that I got, or maybe I should say a friend of mine, let's highlight, a friend of mine, his father-in-law, the abuse got so bad. Again, a lot of it is hidden within respect. Now, let me tell you about my friend, right? I'll tell you about my friend. 8 years in to his very toxic relationship with his in-laws, he still maintained them as mum and dad, elders, respect, community. That's how we grew up. That's how we roll. That's how we were brought up. His father-in-law, and I'll categorically say this, and tell me if I'm wrong. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. His father-in-law said to him in conversation, I don't think you should have more than 2 children. Now, which father-in-law in the Muslim, Asian, Indian, Gujarati, Pakistani, Bangladesh community talks that conversation like that even comes up with your son-in-law? How does that even happen? Someone told me, how does that even happen? And I'll tell you how that happened. From day one, like I said, when you don't stand up to this attitude, this bad energy from day one, the boundary line gets blurred. And then they keep pushing it until, if there's no dead end, if there's no stop, there's no resistance, what happens is you just keep pushing. Same with anything in life. Look, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. I've been doing a lot of research on that. It's power dynamics. Again, the relationship with the in-laws, it is the power dynamics. Every relationship has a power dynamic. You need to take control of the frame. Unfortunately, my friend was too gullible, too old school in the sense that they're elders. You don't say anything. It doesn't matter. They like your mum and dad, because he viewed them as family. Irrespective of how bad the situation in the marriage was, the competition, he still respected. His heart was clean. But the father-in-law, and like Ahmed said in his podcast, is there was always that looking down on you. Nothing is good enough. And this is what I'm saying. If he was to have met all of those demands, it would have been, yeah, but you don't do this, you don't do that. You will never be good enough. Understand that. But if she worked with him, if she covered his up for him, if she had his back, there's a possibility that it might have softened the blow. The relationship might have survived. And this is where a lot of sisters are going wrong. It's this combative behavior, constantly competing with him, constantly bad mouthing him to your family because deep down you look down on him. And a woman who goes and bad mouths her husband behind the back, it shows that level of maturity they have, or the lack of maturity, the lack of awareness and the magnitude of the relationship that they have. So when he said that in the podcast, again, there's certain things that resonate because when you've experienced these things, you know, if a father, for example, comes to me or someone who's got married, within a couple of conversations, you know if he's legit or not, if he's going through this or not, if they've got real problems or if he's just being a drama queen. Or you can tell there's certain nuances, not buzzwords, I'll say, but you can see that energy and you can make out the scenario because you walk these shoes. You know, when you've walked these shoes for long enough, you've been in these relationships, you know the pattern, you know the behavior, you know the energy, you know what he's saying is coming from a place of emotional uncomfortability. And when Ahmed says certain things, it resonates because I know exactly where he's coming from. And also, as he said, his ex is reaching out to all of these podcasters wherever he goes to say he's lying and this and that. I invite, if you are watching now, Ahmed Radar's ex, the one who he messaged me on Instagram, told me he was a liar, he did this. I invite you onto a live stream. I'm inviting you onto a live stream. I tell you, if you're watching now, dial in now. I'm going to give you a chance to put your side of the story, and then you can justify to me why your children have not seen their father for almost 8 years, for almost a decade. How you can justify this? And the allegations that you made were that serious. If they were that serious, why is he not locked up? The sort of allegations that he has faced, why did you drop the case? Once the house was signed over, or 50% of the house that you've illegally occupied has been signed over, how is it that you dropped such serious charges, NFA'd? How was that? So look, I invite you, there's no point DMing me on Instagram. Come onto the stream. Let's hear your side of the story. Let's bring it out. Shout out to Ahmed Radar again, MFSF, follow them, look them up. They're doing a lot of good work. You know, respect to them. Right, numero uno, for complaints, you have to start with the council's complaint process via their website. There'll be a stage 1, stage 2, then stage 3, then you can go to the ombudsman. Right, numero uno, respect to you, shout out to you. You're always coming up with this good information. I'm going to leave this on there for a couple of minutes. Let people hear that. I'm going to read it out again. Look, for complaints, you have to start with the council's complaint process via their website. There'll be a stage 1, stage 2, then stage 3, then you can go to the ombudsman. Shout out to numero uno. You're always coming up with good info there. Right, Matthew Johnson. Is it normally for the social worker to sit with a resident parent and a solicitor and barrister? Is it normal for the social worker to sit with a resident parent and a solicitor and barrister? See, I've heard this before, Matthew. Matthew, unfortunately, Fabian's not here. I can't answer this. I will answer this on the next one, or when Mr. Ryan comes on, we'll bring Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan's about, I'll say, Mr. Ryan, dial in if you're about, you might as well get in on the action. Ahmed, if you're watching, links at the start of the chat, dial in if you can. If I can squeeze you in tonight, will be good. Right, Matthew, this is normally, right, I've spoken to many fathers where they've said they've gone to court and they've noticed the social worker or the CFCAS worker is walking down the corridor or in the lobby, and they're with the solicitor and the barrister. They're with the ex-solicitor and barrister. And when they walked in, they've just been annihilated. I've not heard this once. I've heard this on a few occasions. There is a pattern. I don't think it's normal, but look, that's just my opinion. I can't say 100% professionally, but in my opinion, I don't think it's normal. They're meant to be neutral. Hence, they should not be walking in with one party, especially the solicitor and barrister. That's one that makes you think there's something sinister going on here. Are they all in on it? Now, there is an element of that, but look, Matthew, we'll get someone to confirm that. Let's see if Mr. Ryan's still watching. You can dial in. Actually, let me put a link in the chat again. Mr. Ryan or Ahmed or anyone watching, the link is in the chat. Join in. Right, Mr. Ryan again. The issue in family court do not lie solely with CFCAS. The issues in family court do not lie solely with CFCAS. The congestion, which is extending proceedings, is killing childhoods, and fixing that is beyond the current administration. You're telling me, Mr. Ryan, I know, mate, I know, we're living this. We're living that journey together. Problem is social services investigate themselves. Let me tell you, it's pointless. They do not care. Even if they are utterly wrong and course cursed, they do not give we'll catch you. Right, guys, guess what? Mr. Ryan has heard my calling. Here we go. Mr. Ryan, you might as well take over. I'm glad you're here. Come bang out some of these questions, mate. We need the information. You should have dialed in when Fabian was here. I think you could have had a little back and forth, you know what I mean? Can you hear me, Mr. Ryan?
Are you with me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, Mr. Ryan. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Ryan. Good evening. Nice of you to join us. Nice of you to join us.
I was listening when Fabian was in. So I'm just working on some casework at the moment. So yes, I was listening.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. What is your first impression, so to speak, or of what you were saying ultimately with some of the stuff? What would you say?
I don't disagree with what he was. I don't disagree with what he was saying. I'm hearing myself, which is a bit odd.
It's like, put the volume down. Put your volume down slightly. Yeah, put the volume down on your mic, yeah, because it'll echo back as you speak.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better. I can hear you.
Is that any better? Can we hear me?
Yeah, that's better. I can hear you clearly anyway, yeah. I hear you, Mr. Dan. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
I can't hear you now.
Oh, you put it too low. You got earphones? Have you got earphones? Earbuds?
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you. I got no issue.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah, put your earphones
Okay.
on
I'm
if
just
you
going to
can.
put this in. Then we can deal with
Yeah,
this.
pop that in.
There we go.
There you go. That's a lot better. There you go.
How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's clear. That's continuous now. Can hear continuously. Yes, go on. You were saying?
There we go. Now I've got earphones in. Hopefully we can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. My view is, I have a view about social services. I have a view about CFCAS, unsurprisingly. Whilst I listen and I agree with most of what Fabian said, and he's got on the ground experience that I don't have with social services, because obviously my arena is the family court. But picking up the reason I dialed in, picking up on the question about social services, the social worker sitting next to the barrister or sitting next to one party. It does happen. Yeah, so it does happen. It shouldn't happen. The theory is that the social worker is independent, and so they should sit themselves somewhere in the court where they're apart from both parties. But perhaps there's a space constraint in the court that's stopping them from doing that.
Yeah, but when they're in the lobby together, you see them sometimes talking. I mean, they might just be talking and they're walking together, all chummy, pally. I mean, why are they walking in with the father for? I mean, I understand, like, obviously they're with the alleged victim, so hence it would make sense to walk in with the victim potentially of so-called domestic abuse. So is it that? But I just think that sometimes, you see him looking all chummy, they walk in and, all goes sort of pink tongue inside. And you think, yeah, you go, they had the script ready sort of thing. Or is that just too easy to come to that conclusion? Is it too easy to put two and two together and come up with five?
I mean, there's a whole series of reasons about why anybody would do. I'm not lit this evening, so I apologise for that. There's a whole series of reasons why people walk into court together or don't walk into court together. I'd like to think that the social worker and indeed the CFCAS officer continue to be independent to some degree, albeit that they always have a view.
Mm-hmm.
They always have a favoured party. Unfortunately, that's just reality. That's just human nature as much as anything else. Sadly, that favoured party is often mother, but not always the case. So it's not unusual. It's not unusual.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let me get one up from our old mate Numero Uno. See what you think of this one. Right, problem is social services investigate themselves. Let me tell you, it's pointless. They do not care, even if they're utterly wrong and cause chaos. They do not give a shit, I presume. Would you say that's correct? Is that a fair judgment, or is that just a bit harsh? From your experience of,
I don't disagree with it.
Well, you don't disagree with it? Bloody hell, okay. Yeah, it would have been good if Fabian was here. Could have pressed him a bit more on this. Right. Sure. Your fellow Mackenzie, another fellow Mackenzie. What are your thoughts on the process that not fully recognise parental alienation and the lack of
Perhaps
support?
Fabian would have had a different view, but yeah.
Yeah, it would have been good to put this one to Fabian after I didn't get round to it, man. I think I was rabbiting on too much about other stuff. Maybe I'll have to get Fabian again. We've got to tackle some of this next time. Right, post-separation abuse using the kids' parental alienation. Mother has been telling kids to go to school and tell lies about father. I have CCTV to contradict this. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Lackey. Fabian's not here, but Mr. Ryan, maybe you could shed some light on this.
Post-separation to go to school. I have a real satellite delay this evening, chap. So
Yeah. You're not on the main setup today. Can you see the comment on the screen?
right, okay. There we go. Yeah, so I'm getting a real satellite delay, so apologies for that. So mother's been telling the kids to go into school and tell lies about father. Okay, well, welcome to the world of parental alienation. You've got CCTV to contradict this. Well done. If you are outside proceedings, then you need to raise the matter with the school and also with social services. If you are inside proceedings, then you need to raise this with CFCAS.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Lackey, Mr. M, I hope you got that. Let's try and crunch through some of these. From age 13 onwards, is the family courts irrelevant? Is from age 13 onwards, is the family court irrelevant? The court will just do what the teenager wants. I think we covered this before. Once the child gets to a certain age,
No,
family court.
is the answer to that. It's
fair enough, short and sweet. Oh, look, there's a comment from Mr. Ryan. The time pressure and caseload that CAFCAS is undue is leading to cut and paste recommendations without comprehensive investigation being carried. Right. Okay. Yes. We know there are major delays and a lot of pressure on the system. At down 100%, mine didn't even get my location right. Clearly a template. Listen, Mr. M, at least you got a response. We don't even get a response from the court. We're still waiting for CAFCAS to be appointed by the court. It's not happened, mate. So, the fact that you got a response from, the fact is this, what people don't realize is that the bar that they've set for family court, CAFCAS, is too high. You should be happy that you got a response. You were acknowledged. I'd just be happy with that. I'm not even looking for justice. I'm just looking for acknowledgement, and that's it. I'm going to pack up and go. Once the family courts acknowledge me, I'm shutting down all of this. I'm gone. That's it. I've got my acknowledgement. I'm not actually looking for a judgment or response or some sort of fair justice. Do you know what I'm saying? That's asking for too much. The fact that they've given you a response is actually really good these days, unfortunately. Right. What is the percentage of male judges versus female judges? That's a good question, Mr. Ryan, I think. Oh, Mr. Ryan, your line's bad. Can you see the question? Yeah, as you can see, Mr. Ryan's got major delays on his end. Oh, I've got tons of questions here still. Man, there's tons of questions here.
I've got to be honest, I don't know the answer. My view is that in family court, just from out loud, I think there are more female judges in family court than there are male, but I would need to do the research to give you any real science behind that.
Okay, fair enough. How do you prove you've been accused of substance misuse and alcohol? If you don't, surely there must be some kind of drug testing system in place. Let's see if Mr. Ryan can shed some light on this. Yeah, bear with Mr. Ryan, guys. His line's bad. Just bear with him. Oh. Right, line is really bad with Mr. Ryan. Let's see if he can jump back on. Mr. Ryan, can you hear me? Are you with us? Are you with us, Mr. Ryan? Come in, Mr. Ryan. There's never a Mackenzie around when you need one, see? Oh, Mr. Ryan's gone. Unfortunately, Mr. Ryan's gone. Right, F1, Mr. F1, apologies. I'll give it a couple of minutes, see if Mr. Ryan comes on, see if we can get you, the info you need. Whilst we're waiting for him to come back, let's go through some of these comments. Right, numero uno, Mr. N. Men and women are wired different. Let's be honest. A male social worker example, Fabian, is far less likely to be biased to either gender. I'm going to say it, women social workers are always biased. Most social workers are women. The male colleagues are too innocent to know what the women social workers are up to. There's a comment that Dan made earlier, Mr. Ryan made earlier. I want to have the time pressure. No, not that one. Where are we? Right, no. Right, I've lost it. Let's carry on with some of these comments. Right, Mr. M again. Mr. Lackey, never give up. Keep fighting for your kids. Definitely. Ahmed Ali, right, just because you asked us, 3 years is long enough. Should I give up? Numero Uno says, never give up. Never, ever. Mr. Lackey also says, never give up fighting for your kids. Let's finish off what we said about social workers earlier. Most social workers, women, the male colleagues are too innocent to know what the women social workers are up to. Mr. N again, women social workers will never use the word domestic abuse, no matter what the allegations. They will use the word domestic violence. They intentionally and know the full well the wording is powerful. Yes, wording is everything. The key buzzwords. Thank you all thanks for all the advice, Fabian. Yeah, listen, I needed to do a lot more talking with Fabian. I didn't see these. I got lost in my own conversation with him. I should have just worked through some of these questions. Next time he comes on, look, we'll try and fire some of these questions back at him. If he chooses, he's happy to come back on. But, listen, shout out to Fabian, respect to him. If you do want to follow him or see some of his work, or you want to reach out to him, like I said, Fresh for Families on Instagram. Type that in, you see him come up. Right, that is technically correct. That's per Children Act 1989. The mother and father's rights are identical. It's the child's right. Yeah, no, see, we'll get Mr. Ryan to tackle that again, yeah, because I just want to confirm that, because I'm sure mum had a certain amount of automatic rights, but again, that's my opinion, or from what I know, but I could be completely wrong. Right, however, a lot of people don't appreciate ECHR, Human Rights Act, particularly articulate right to family life. Fathers do have a legal right to see the kids as long as there are no real issues. That's where the sticking point is, as long as there are no real issues. The thing is, we have all the rights, or we don't have all the rights, or we have the same rights. The problem is, once the DA and the DV card come in, that negates everything. The playing field is level to the point where DA, DV come in. And in a lot of cases, and I'm sure Mr. Ryan, Ahmed Raidan, all the other Mackenzies that are working in the game will confirm, as soon as that card comes in, the chips are stacked against you. And this is where the problem is. All of your rights, everything is done. For example, all those brothers that I know that have been accused, for example, yeah, even the family members of their exes, the women on the other side and the men on the other side are supporting these women because but he was an abuser. Yeah, but he did this. He was an abuser. He didn't give any money. He didn't do this. And soon as that comes in, DADV, is because of that conditioning that most men have. And imagine this. Imagine this is your sister or your cousin's sister or a woman from your family. You automatically start feeling sorry for them, the poor victim, straight away. That's the problem. If it's your daughter, straight away. It takes a lot of courage for someone to say, okay, what did he do? Explain to me what happened. Rather than thinking, I've been married, we've all been married, we know how it is, shit happens, people have arguments, people have disagreements. Is it DA? Once that trump card, it's the trump card, it's the ace card. That's the problem. All of this goes out the window when DA comes into it. Good advice from Mr. Adam. Dark Side said, why are all the courts so private? The reason they're private is this. Let me tell you. Family proceedings are private proceedings. My analogy is this. They're kept private because when you can keep a scam hidden for long enough, you can keep milking it for longer. They're secret courts, so people are not clued up about this. So what happens is, and unfortunately, like I said, the resident parent, I'll use the PC term, the resident parent is clued up. Because most men find themselves, before they notice, they're at the family home, they're slapped with a molestation order, occupation order, they're fighting these allegations, and they're paying CMS. They've got you, the system has got you. Because they're unaware. How do you keep this unaware? Because you keep it as a private court. That's why they are private courts. Mr. A, Farouk and Mr. Ryan are legends. I'd have to agree with you 100%. And as I'm here today, and Mr. Ryan's got a bad connection, and I'm on my own, I'm carrying this on my own, I am definitely a legend. I will take that. Mr. Adam, thank you very much. Respect. And I think some of you should take note and say, Mr. Adams said, Mr. Ryan, I should be seeing some super chats. I've had no super chats in, not even 199. I sent in a 199 super chat to Ahmed Raidan, the podcast he was on, just to show my support. I've not even had a 199 super chat here. What's going on? Right, Mr. Ryan is not here live, but he's here in spirit. Women's Aid do provide training courses, social services. Right, this is where the problem is. I think ideally, look, when Fabian comes on again, if he chooses to come on to Qualified Dads again, I will definitely try and bring him on again. I will put this to him. The fact that if WA provide training courses to social services, is this not a conflict of interest? Is there not a conflict here? We know WA's mandate. We know what WA is now built on. Numbers through the door. You need victims. In order to have victims, you need perpetrators. Who are the perpetrators? The non-resident parents. Unfortunately, 90% who happen to be men. Now, if we go away from the children and the society, and we look at the system itself, if WA provided training to SS, the social services, there is definitely, as far as I'm concerned, conflict of interest. I'm not going to read your comment, bro, but I don't want YouTube to, I've just about got my channel up and running, just about near enough getting to 2,000 subs. By the way, listen, after almost a year and a half, 2 years of relentless sacrifice and work, I've hit 2,000 organic subs. Please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Send this channel out to all your friends, family, relatives, to your friends back home, family in Pakistan, India, wherever. Just get them all to subscribe, man. Get people to subscribe. Get on it. Get this up and down everywhere. There's a lot of knowledge and information on the channel. Get it out there. Dark Side Slider, I'm leaving your comment up there from Move On. Let's move on to your next comment. Social workers' care is taking kids for their pay rise. That's deep, bro. That's deep there. See, I wouldn't have said this stuff to Fabian because look, he's come on here respectfully. I just wanted to get the insight and the knowledge we could. And like I said, he's a professional. There's so much he can say. There's things that he probably knows. I can't talk on his behalf, but you can't compromise. And that's the point. When these professionals come on, they have to walk a very fine line, not to compromise themselves, but still get the information out there in a manner that is palatable. But I think we know the game, sort of thing. Numero uno, none of his business. All right. I don't know what you're talking about, bro, but I got you. Many people pretend to be religious, but it's fake. They're playing one big deception game. I think the thing is this. I'm going to comment on this, Adam, and if you're listening, Adam, you're still here. Hear me out on this. Like I said, I'm not one from the dai scene and go around giving people dawah, this and that. There are people that do that, professionals. There are people who have spent their life studying Islam and Deen and whatnot. So, I'm taking nothing away from them. And I respect those that are on that scene doing this, doing the religious stuff, spreading it in their respective manners and whatnot, But this is what, again, I think we have to look at. If you've never been on a journey of your own, your personal journey, look into your own heart. If you've never been angry or disrespected and you thought, I'll swallow my anger and pride, I'll apologize. If you've never done that, now if you look at it, most of these religious people, they do the practical functions. So let's take Muslims, for example. They pray your namaz, you pray your daily 5 prayers, your namaz, That's between you and God, you and Allah. That's between you and Allah. You're not doing anything. That's between you and Allah. You fast. That's between you and Allah. You pay your charity, your zakat. That's between you and Allah. You go Hajj. That's between you and Allah. If someone disrespects you, that's between you and that guy. Can you swallow your anger and bring the Islamic practices into play then? When it comes to personal, and this is what I'm saying, a lot of people cannot implement Islam in their personal affairs. Now let's call it out straight here. I'm going to toe the line a little bit here. I'm going to go sail close to the grave. Let's look at my piece of shit ex-brother-in-law now, He's happy to sit there knowing in Islam, like Brother Ahmed said on the last stream, breaking ties of kinship is next to kufr. You will not taste heaven. This guy walks out with a little electronic tasbih on his, little counting tasbih on his finger and does zikr all day, every day. But this hadith is going out the window, isn't it? His nephews and nieces, right, are not seeing their father. Their childhood is being stolen every day, over 2 years, while he's got his kids at home and all of this, He's denied someone else's children. This guy, again, so religious, he wanted to bring my children as witnesses to say, your dad's a bad father when they were aged 5 and 3. I said, bro, you've got to bring child witnesses. What is wrong with you? But again, the level of intellect, again, the basic common sense that we are dealing with, again, it doesn't exist. This is the men around her. This is the men around these certain individuals. What chance have my kids got? They've got absolutely no chance. They've got absolutely no chance. And their whole family pretends to be religious. They talk about Islam. They talk all of this stuff. But no one can. When it comes to family court, from day dot, let's talk about a friend of mine. I want to talk about my case now. I'm going to talk about my piece of shit ex-brother-in-law. Let's talk about a friend of mine, yeah? From day dot, a friend of mine who got married, his father-in-law kept trying to get him to do a civil registry. His father-in-law. Why? And now that my friend is broken up, the marriage is finished, divorce, whatnot, you don't see his kids, they've separated, all of that, yeah. The consensus amongst his ex's family was, she's divorced, marriage, the relationship, marriage has broken up. Well, at least she's got the house out of it. This is the general consensus. Because my friend was an outsider. In time, I'll be naming this family in the Gujarati community, and I'll say avoid that family. Do not marry into the women of that family. If you're coming in as a man, they just they're there to look out for their own. They'll take whatever they can of you. If it's a man marrying that woman, it's different. But this family, specific village, amongst Gujaratis, like I said, you don't hear anything that comes out of that family. They won't talk to anyone about the insides. It's all kept secret. Again, like the secret family courts. But these lowlifes, they make out they're religious. Like I said, you see many. You see guys in the mosque, again, having arguments over all sorts of stupid things because they can't control their ego and pride. When it comes to your personal affairs, yeah? When it comes to your personal affairs, when it affects you emotionally, you remove God, you remove Allah, you remove the rulings, Islam, right, wrong, completely to the side. What does that say about you? You might do your namaz and all of that, the day-to-day things between you and Allah. But in your personal affairs, if you do not bring this into your personal affairs, what does that say about you? How many people really practice Islam? Well, it's 1 hour 57, but listen, there's loads of comments here and questions. I'm just going to keep going on my own. I'm going to be carrying this. I'm carrying this whole movement on my own. I'm going to carry on as long as I can tonight. Right, look, Mr. Ryan here, in spirit again. Family court is private because the proceedings are a private law matter, which means it is essentially a confidential issue between two parties and the court is a referee. I get that. He's right. That is the black and white terminology of why it's private. Also, my analogy is, like I said, when something is private, look, everyone's heard of a scam, yeah? The best scam that continues to run for as long as possible is a scam you never heard of, like the family court. Like I said, in my 40s, born and raised England, how the hell did I not know about this? Because it's kept private. Mind control cults, I suppose. WA is a witches' convent, I presume that's right, out to destroy believers in God. It's all deliberate. They are anti-God and anti-men, Father 100. Man, I can relate to that, brother. Mind control cults. I can relate to what you're saying, bro. I feel you, bro. I'm there. I see what you're saying. Right, Mr. Adam, on a financial settlement, what stage can allegations be made? Mr. Ryan, hopefully, can answer that for you. Or when Mr. Ryan's on next, listen, I'm going to do a live stream with Mr. Ryan very soon. We're going to cover some serious topics. But I think me and Mr. Ryan need to hit one again just to cover these questions, all of these little issues. Like I said, this is the only platform on the internet giving you straight, direct legal advice, family court law advice in a raw, straight form that you can digest and understand. There is no other platform out there. This information is hard to come by. Believe me, even if you join these fathers groups, there are so many fathers on there looking for advice. By the time they get to you, like I said, it's difficult. This is the only platform that can mete out this content, this information in its purest form, yeah, is this platform. We're going to be doing it weekly. I'm going to aim to put this legal advice out weekly so people just get the answers they need at the time to get them going. So look, I'm talking with other Mackenzies and legal people. Also, next stream, I've got a female solicitor from Birmingham coming on. We're going to get the insights from her, try and tackle this from a different angle, see how these solicitors see it. I know in a couple of cases she managed to get molestation orders against fathers discharged. So let's bring her on next time as well. She's coming on. I'm going to be advertising that very soon. They hate that God made only men prophets and patriarchy. Yeah, man, they hate the patriarchy. They're using the patriarchy as a system. I think the thing is this: society is ultimately, this fight against the patriarchy has gone so far. And look, with the red pill, look, there's a lot of red pill content that's come out in these last few years. Some of the stuff they come out, unfortunately, does hold merit. They're putting out the information that it's undeniable, unfortunately. If you look at the behavior in the family court system, the pattern, it's all the same. And the destruction, like even Fabian, what did Fabian say about the family unit? Destroy fathers and men. If you remove one parent out of the family unit, you've reduced that child's chances of of the best outcome that child could have had. That has an impact on wider society ultimately. So look, Fabian did cover this in this early part of the conversation. Right, we got Mr. Adam again. Mr. A. Religious people pretend to be righteous and encourage their new wife to behave. Religious people pretend to be righteous, then encourage their new wife to behave in a non-Islamic way. What I'm presuming these means is they encourage the girl from their family to behave in a non-Islamic. Yeah, 100%, bro. Listen, when it comes to your own, there's not many out there that will call out their own children, their own sister, their own family. There's not many that will say, listen, sister, brother, son, daughter, mum, dad, you were wrong here. I can't stand by you because you were wrong. I can't just go along with you because it was you. There's not many people that I've come across that can stand on their principles of right and wrong. Call it, if they're wrong, they're wrong. That's what I'm saying. There's not many people that do that, bro. And when you look at the marriage and divorce crisis, you can see it clearly. You can see that playing out clearly. Right, mind control cults exposed. They claim that 29 cases being all men. All men are perpetrated and children should be with women only, not fathers. It's not an independent research document. Remember this, look here. I don't know about the stats around that, but let me tell you something, yeah. In order to have a victim, you need a perpetrator. In order to justify this funding, this movement, this organization, listen, do not underestimate that organization. Compared to the father space, mate, there's a lot to learn from them. Fathers don't even pull together. But whatever the stats are, in order to have a victim, you have to have a perpetrator. I'm not denying that happens or doesn't happen. Ultimately, like I said, there's many male victims of all sorts of abuse that goes unreported and is not taken seriously. The legend, yeah, you're right, Adam. Me, the legend, disqualified dads on the front line, battling the system, exposing all of this, exposing the scam, putting information out there for all to benefit from. And I hope the youngsters out there, I'm trying to bring on some young influencers soon so they can connect with a younger audience that are not married, that can understand and learn what we're talking about here. Because once you're on this side, like I said, it's already too late. Damage is done. At tender years, feminist doctrine is the most diabolical, biased, outdated garbage that needs to be utterly banished, and yet they claim they're so-called progressive societies. Yeah, right. I feel you, bro. I feel you, bro. You're passionate. I love it. I love the passion. Social services and CFCAS. A man in feminist can't act to destroy the family, men and boys, to stabilize society for their hands. See, listen, I say this, look, yeah. That's why we need more like Fabian. I think this just shows the importance of what Fabian is doing. And I want to give Fabian a shout out again. We need more men like Fabian, more brothers like Fabian, more people like Fabian to go into these roles. We need them to go into these roles and take over from the inside. Imagine if Fabian wasn't doing what he's doing on that front line there. And he's been through his own journey. He knows the score. We need more like Fabian, more men to take up these roles, go into these jobs. We need more men to be interested in the child aspect of the family unit. Who makes these rules? Who makes the laws around these children? So, you know what? It just shows the importance of what Fabian's doing, ultimately. We need more of them. We need more of him in there. Making excuses and false arguments to sidestep how illegal and deliberately they are disrupting. It's all part of a long planned depopulation agenda. Bro, you're getting deep, man. You're getting deep, yeah, but definitely, there's definitely something going on. When you enter the system, let me put it another way. Me and Fabian spoke about this before we actually got onto the stream, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it since. When you lose contact with your children, when you see the barriers and obstacles that you have between you and your children, that's when your eyes open. The curtains fall, the blinkers are gone. You see this society and environment really for what it is. When you are not allowed to see your children, you then question everything. And then you start thinking is there a bigger agenda here? Is it just an accident? Is this by chance? It's very hard to think this is just happening by chance, unfortunately. Mr. Ryan is 100% all CFCAS social services do is copy and paste. Yeah, so guys, make a note of that. Remember that. That's why you need to leverage your best position. You got to think outside the box. Mind control and cults exposed again. Oh, pressure delays yet the evil continues. Sick of hearing such excuse for deliberate evil towards following judge. If you get a good male judge, they're replaced with feminine judge. I feel your pain, bro. I feel your pain. Sounds like you're talking from a lot of pain. I get it, man. I'm with you. There are more female judges than male judges because family was seen as a feminism early on. This is actually interesting. You need to look more into this. Before I comment on it, I need to do more research, I think. I need to bring a judge on here, I think. Feminist judges are there to ensure that, quote, of all men are perpetrators and women victims. Any possibility of men winning, though, through male judges taken over by feminist judges. I'm going to say this to you guys. Look, listen, yeah. Just because you have a male judge, do not think that you'll get a better outcome. Look, the chances are still 50-50, ultimately. Then if you look at how you presented yourself, who you got representing you, how emotionally controlled and composed you are. I would say to you, do not pin your hopes on the fact that the judge is a male or female. If you get into court, do not put men are, like I said, they're conditioned by the same society. The judge, like I said, the subconscious bias. If he just sees a woman upset and crying and she's small and her ex is 7 foot muscled up, doesn't matter what background he's from, yeah, who is he going to lean towards? And again, with the balance of probability. So look, to a certain degree, he might just be covering his ass, don't want to take the risk. So remember this, do not pin your hopes on the fact that you get a male judge. I personally don't think that makes that much different in that sense. I think it's still 50-50. Yes, they do drugs and alcohol tests routinely. You will have the pleasure of paying for the test as well. Yeah, exactly. You'll pay for the test that you know, for a test that you know is going to be negative. Senior feminist female judge will veto and remove a male judge that looks like a man will win, and they make some fake excuses to do. It's all rigged and deliberate. Listen, bro, I get it. I understand your pain, but look, you can win. You cannot go in with this mindset. You have to go and believe in you're going to win. Your subtext will determine your action. Your action will determine your outcome. Your outcome will determine your situation going forward. And that will then feed back into your subtext. You've got to change your mindset. You've got to tackle this differently. Going for the system, you need to change your mindset. A man has to have video evidence, bruise, etc., domestic reasons, these evidence, just to when I destroy children and fathers. Yeah, unfortunately, bro, that is true. Right, I just look at that. Numero uno, you're a legend. 199. I spent 199 on that podcast, the Muslim mum that Ahmed Raidan was on. I'm just going to keep my 199 minus what YouTube will take. So look, respect to you, appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you. People take note. 199. Look, 199 super chat from that guy. What a geezer. I'm gonna leave it up there so you can all digest it for a minute. So it might encourage some of you others to get your wallet out. Do you know what I mean? I've been battling there for a year and a half, 2 years out of a van. Do you know what I mean? Numero uno, I appreciate you. Thank you, brother. 5 years no contract due to mother has too much money and CAFCAS support mother regardless, always saying no contact regardless, and the court just backed their choice, lost with what to do. LOR, Mr. L, if you're watching, email me on disqualified.dads@gmail.com. Myself and Mr. Ryan can have a chat with you, come up with a game plan, see what you can do, see what your possibilities are, see what the what chance you have, and we'll give you real advice. We're not just going to sell you something. Mr. Ryan can do a little case where you have a little look, see what best steps to take. Because look, this is all strategic. You have to leverage all your best positions in everything. Ultimately, you can't leave this a chance. 5 years no contact in mother has too many money in CAFCAS. Yeah, I mean, look, reach out, look, disqualified.dads@gmail.com. Reach out to me. I'll connect you on a call. Me, you, and Mr. Ryan will get on a call, and we'll see what we can do. See what your best options are. Yeah, it's a shame Mr. Ryan had bad reception. Otherwise, we could have answered that directly. Adam here. When it comes to the divorce, right? LQR or LOR. Sorry, my bad. Listen, man, I can't read LOR. Mr. L. Fake statement and witness statements. I have no bad background, etc. Totally lost. We've had to get access. Asked for pick and was told no. As said, I know what child looks like. Yeah, listen. Sounds like you're in the thick of it, brother. Look, reach out to me. As I said, reach out to me, and me and Mr. Ryan will go over your case. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, because it's difficult. But look, don't give up. Believe. I need you to start believing that you can win. Your children can win. Because the belief and the hope, you've got to understand how this works, guys. Mindset. If the mindset is right, it can conquer anything. You can overcome anything, even this. So belief, hope. As I say to people, you've got to believe in more than yourself. So my point is, you've got to go back to believing in the higher power. I believe in Allah, my religion. I pray. I know there's a bigger power behind me, above me, all around me. You know, Allah is with me every step of the way. But you have to believe first. Believe, prayer, action, conviction, perseverance. So perseverance, prayer, and patience. That's the first three things I'll say to you. Prayer. Sorry, let me reframe that. Yeah, I'm messing it all up. Patience, prayer, perseverance. Yeah. Action, then conviction. So conviction, action. So start believing. Start making small changes, small steps. Compartmentalize your emotion. Start thinking from an objective view. Start looking at your case from an objective view. Second pair of eyes, Mr. Ryan, when you go over it, we can maybe come up with something. But first, I'll say, look, start believing. Believe you can do this. Believe you can win. Don't give up. We're going to press forward strategically. Reach out to me. Your being laws are fake, circumstantial, Muslim looking to make money. Yeah, bro, you don't know the half of it, man. You don't know the half of it. Right, we need imams to be taking up the case. Unfortunately, like I said, I spoke to a couple of imams. I spoke to a few imams and a few community leaders. And like Ahmed Raidan said from MFSF, behind closed doors, they'll agree with you. But it seems to be even they are stifled in coming out publicly and to talk about this openly and publicly. Even they are stifled, unfortunately. There's only so much they can do or say. And then the other thing is, if they've not been through it themselves, if they've not lost contact with a kid, maybe they don't fully understand. And what you don't realize is the female support, the feminist element of it and the support is so powerful. Even the imams are silenced. Yeah, they can't talk out about this. There's imams that wanted to talk about this in a khutbah. When's the last khutbah that you heard where they even talked about child contact? And it's unheard of. And the social media imams, unfortunately, they know the ones with the biggest followings. Remember this: when you go big on YouTube, yeah, when you go viral, it wasn't an accident. You have to follow the data. All of these tech companies, Amazon, Google, YouTube, Meta, Facebook, all of them, they operate, understand, they operate on data. Data doesn't lie. When they make a short, they make a post, when they come out with move to the left. You know, my wife tells me to move to the left, I move to the left, all this bullshit. They know, they've studied the data, they've studied the algorithms, they know the response. Listen, I'm not a YouTube expert, I know a little bit about YouTube. They study the data, they know what gets the click-through rates, what gets the impressions. You don't get to millions of followers by chance. I'm telling you that now. There's no luck involved here. These are clever people, they know what they're doing on the social media front. The everyday imams, they're silenced. Unfortunately, imams that are not even part of the cog. They're just a small part, they're a small cog in the machine of the mosque. In the mosque machine, they're a small cog. There's only one mosque that actually openly have an imam part of the committee who can speak out. One mosque that I know, yeah, in Walthamstow. Now, all these other mosques, they are stifled. The imams can't say much, and even though they agree with you behind closed, they can't come out with it. And unless we get to a stage where, let's say MFSF got a load of prophecy, they have to challenge the mosque. But the problem is with the mosques and the religious sort of leaders in that sense, there's this air of protection, this religious protection. But as soon as you see someone of any religious standing, someone challenges him, everyone turns on the guy that challenged him. How dare you challenge him? This is what I'm saying. We got to get past the facade. And once you lose your kids, that facade of community, masking about, mate, I don't care about none of them. If you challenge, I'll challenge anyone. I don't really give a shit ultimately, yeah? Ultimately, I respect those that, you know, there are imams that I know that are going through this, that support and help people, so I'm not knocking all of them, but they're a small cog in the machine. We need to challenge the system as a whole, overall. The whole mosque establishment is served this purpose for the last 40, 60 years. I respect and love everything they did, yeah, but they failed my children. They haven't failed me. I can read Quran, I can pray namaz, I know my religion. I am Muslim today because of the work they did, and I respect that. But they fail my children. Now, my children, they might read a little bit there, they can read the Quran, they can go mosque, this and that, but they're missing one parent. The father, the protector, yeah? Appointed by Islam, the protector, the leader of the family, yeah? Forget even the leader. If you want to say that's controversial, let's talk about protect. Daniel Hakikuju, what does he say? You are the protector, ultimately. Even by modern society, red pill, the feminist brigade, whatever you want to call it, from all aspects of society, I think it's accepted that you as a man are the protector of your children. And when you're not around, no problem. A woman as a mother will protect the children. When the man's not around, no problem. She'll have to. She's got no choice. But the protector has been removed, and the current Islamic establishment, as in these mosques and imams, have failed me. They haven't failed me because, like I said, you know, we can read a little bit there. We can pray namaz. We have some concept and idea of our identity and our religion. They've done a good job. But they're failing the generation now, aren't they? Because they are pandering to the feminist brigade or the female following, unfortunately. They're all pandering to that. And society, like, remember this, bro, sign of end times. We know what the texts say. There's a reason for that. So the short of it is Muslims just get a niqab, 100%. Do a niqab, but not just that. There's more to be done. As time progresses, the niqab alone just won't protect you. As in, if you do a registry, the thing with the registry is this. Look, Ahmed Raydan didn't have a registry, but he still lost 50% of his house. Think about that. I just want to put it out there. Ahmed Raydan from MFSF had a niqab only, I believe, and he still lost 50%. I want you to let that sink in for a minute, yeah? Think about that, let that sink in. There's more to all of this. We're going to bring out streams where we cover all of this on what to do, how to do. That's 2 hours, 18 minutes, but I'm going to keep going. Until Mosque Committee and so-called Imam expose this and the families involved are boycott, shame the Muslim community, then nothing will change. Absolutely. Listen, up here, Stamford Hill, everyone knows what Stamford Hill stands for, Clapton, Stamford Hill here in London, yeah? That is known for a certain community, a very strong Orthodox Jewish community. And apparently what I've heard is when this happens, they make sure that the kids do not lose contact. Let's keep it focused onto the children, yeah? They make sure their children from that community do not lose contact with their father or mother. They do not lose contact. And if they do, they are shamed in that community. What does Red Pill say? Shame is what keeps society in check sometimes, yeah? We've lost all shame. Here, mate, they encourage it. Here's a badge of honor now. Divorce is a badge of honor. And if you're giving access to your kids, you get those other little bitch girlfriends that tell your ex, oh yeah, why are you giving access? He needs to do this, he has to pay for this, he has to pay all this bullshit, right? There's just too many shit people in the community. I hate to say it, unfortunately. Right, numero uno, male judges are worse in my opinion. There you go. It's possible. There you go. That answers my question, right? That answers my point. You're right, but male judge made a difference in my case and another brother. They replaced the male judge with. No, you're 100%. Like I said, guys, it's 50-50. There's no set rule. Do not have any set rule in your head for family court. When you walk in, just because something happened to someone, do not assume that'll happen to you. Go with a clear head, positive mind, positive emotional state. Believe you're going to win. Go in with that subtext. Believe you're going to win. That will determine your action. Mindset is everything. I told you. That applies to everything in life. Mindset. Mindset can overcome all obstacles. Bro, you need to add new batteries in your smoke alarm. For a moment, I thought, yeah, listen, man, you know that smoke alarm, yeah? Let me tell you how many alarms I got going off all the time, yeah, Mr. M, yeah, Mr. M. You don't know the half of this, yeah? So that whole way smoke alarm, every now and then is constantly has that little beep, yeah? That started about 2 weeks ago. I've got the CCTV unit, right, yeah? There's something wrong with that, yeah? That alarms every beep, 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 everything, all day, every day. I sleep with this beeps all day, every day, bro. You know what I mean? I'm going through the system. They don't even make any... Doesn't make any difference to me now. My mind's gone, brain's gone, bro. It's fried. But thanks for the reminder. I need to get that fixed. And listen, all of those out there, test your smoke alarms weekly, yeah? I am an engineer. I'm an electrician by trade. Listen, I'm telling you now, test your smoke alarms, yeah? And for those of you who have kids and have a family, still live in the family and have access to your kids, do fire drills with your kids. So listen, kids, when you hit a smoke alarm middle of the night, what are you going to do? What is your way out? Where is your nearest exit? Do you help get your little brother or sister? You need to have that in place, yeah? Don't take these things for granted. Don't take it for chance, yeah? Run weekly fire drills with your children. When they're small, it can be a fun activity to do with your children, yeah? I was teaching my kids stuff like that. If you see smoke coming through the door, you hear there's a fire or you can see smoke or burning smell, put this cloth under the door, don't let the smoke in. Luckily, I was in a bungalow. I said, open the window and just throw yourself out, yeah? If you can, help your little sister, push her up, give her a little piggyback, whatever you call it, and push her out the window if you have to. I used to teach them that, yeah? So teach your kids stuff like that, practical stuff. Right, mind control culture. I did all the right moves, bro, and aced it. I'm not aware of what my judgment is already had the fact I wait on judge to watch all body camera footage, which exposes it. I listen, don't talk too much about your case, but listen, good luck. I hope it works out. Keep me posted, bro. Keep on it. Keep battling, yeah. Let's just hope you get the result that you need. Let's hope you get the right result, yeah. Mr. L, thank you for your comment. Allow me to speak with you on the phone. Please, can you post your email address here? LOR. Let me see if I can bring my email up here, yeah. So let me remove. Right, let me see. Right. I'm going to quickly. No, crap. Where's it go? No, I can't do it, guys. Hold on. Right, it's disqualified.dads@gmail.com. So let me read it out. I'll spell it out. D-I. You know what? I'll put it in the chat. I'll put my email address in the chat, yeah? Disqualified.dads@gmail. Disqualified.dads@gmail. Right, Mr. L, the email is in the chat. Email me and let's have a chat. Right, one has to, Mr. Mind Control again, one has to have knowledge of one's enemy in detail to be able to overcome them. Yep, Sun Tzu, the art of war, absolutely. Very good point. Look into the true origins and actual agendas of family. It's not what many think and claim. Rachel Wilson has done the best work on this and written a book on it. Occult origins. Listen, man, you're right. I need to read that book. I need to check it out. I need to spend more time reading. Muslim imams are not at all fit for purpose. Look, I get it. Things I don't want to knock the good work they're doing because look, they're still reading the Mars, they're still doing, they've dedicated their life to, to Islam and living that life ultimately, yeah. I mean, all right, yeah, these days it's not what that used to mean is not what it, what that used to mean 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago is something very different to now, yeah, but they've still gone down that path. I don't want to knock them. I'll just say they failed. They're socially disconnected. So they're on the path of being an Islam and religion, but unfortunately they are socially disconnected. They don't realize that in 10, 15 years, I'm like me and Fabian were talking about the effects of this. We'll see in 10, 15 years, maybe the mosque will be empty because these kids are also damaged. Who knows? But they're not addressing it. They're socially, they have failed, unfortunately. Like I said, when's the last speech, bayan or khutbah that you've heard in any mosque throughout your lifetime where they've talked about this child access issues in the last 10 years? Nothing. Dead. They failed in times and community. Our secularized mosques are told what they can and can't say. That goes against Quran, so they're all bogus and just a puppet show. Unfortunately, look, when you use your kid, there is an element of that I feel, but I don't want to be harsh on them. But I try and look at the good work people that they've done as well as institutions. They've done a lot of good work. Never forget that. And my point is, it maybe it's down to us now. Maybe this is now not down to the mosque. The thing is this: look, I'm a big believer in life. You can sit here and you can blame the mosque. So, for example, my situation now, your situation, many others. I could blame society. I could blame the mosque, blame the family court system, blame the ex, blame the in-laws, blame her friends, blame the welfare teacher at the school. Again, they're all in on it. And yes, easily could. They're all to blame on some level or other. Let's just say for argument's sake, yeah. I don't blame any of them. I blame myself. And I'll tell you why I blame myself. Yeah. Why was I not aware of this? Why was I not aware of the laws in place? Why didn't I look harder? Why didn't I study harder? Your children are, like I said, the most valuable asset you're going to have in your life. The biggest emotional, financial, mental, psychological, physical investment you'll make in your life is into your children. So why didn't I protect my investment? Why didn't I protect my greatest asset, my greatest legacy, my children? Why was I not aware? Hence, we're here on Disqualified Dads. I'm putting this information out there so that no one else gets caught out like this. So this information is easier to find and get a hold of. That's why we're here. So though the community has their problems, there's a lot of good stuff that the community's done. They have their problems, but maybe it's not down to them. Maybe this is down to me to get this out there. You understand? Maybe every action has a reaction. Maybe the community, the Muslim community, the mosques, the imams, the committees, maybe they will change when there's this pressure that comes from us. It's down to me and you. It's down to us to bring exposure, bring awareness, create a movement big enough and powerful enough to push back that narrative, and maybe then change will come. But we can't sit here relying on them to change out of thin air without us doing anything. We need to stand up. We need to take these steps, and maybe this is what it's going to take. It's hard to get the rip. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but we can discuss that again, Adam. Maybe elaborate a bit more. I felt the clear stability of Stanford Jewish community. They got it. Listen, man, they've got it worked out. I'm telling you now. I used to drive through that area. I used to go through Dalston, all the way down. So Stanford was a Tottenham. South Tottenham, all the way along that road, through Stamford Hill, Clapton, Dalston, Kingsland, all the way that way into the city every night on night shift. Yeah, listen, man, I got nothing but respect for that community. Solid. They've got their shit in order. They're on top, man. They've got things under control. They're protecting their kids. They're protecting their identity. They're protecting their religion. They're not ashamed of how they operate and walk and rate them. But like I said, their society is still in check. Our society sold out, bro, for the money. That's it. As soon as emotions, personal affairs, separation of all this happens, bro, people have sold their religion. They have sold their religion and they've walked in family court and they have become atheists. Simple. You need to bring on a current or ex-barrister who's about it. Listen, I'm bringing on a lawyer. I'm bringing on a current practicing lawyer. I'm going to try and aim to get her on for next Sunday. It's a sister from Birmingham. I'm going to get her onto the stream. I'm going to email her tomorrow, try and get her on the stream next Sunday. She's a practicing lawyer, and I know she supported a few men, and she's managed to get non-moles discharged before they were issued in a few cases. So look, maybe the tide is turning. So look, let's bring a professional in from that side, and maybe I can tackle. Maybe let's just get a different angle. So look, we're getting that in, and as the channel progresses, we're going to try and get a barrister in. It's hard to get these people of this caliber on this channel. I'm just thankful that even Fabian came on. Respect to Fabian again for coming on. Being a professional and that coming on to talk about controversial subjects. All this advice about teaching fire awareness and having fire drills, awesome advice. I never even thought of that. Yeah, Numero, listen to me. You hear these shock, I'm an electrician. I've heard of houses burning down, electrical fires and stuff like that. I'm telling you now, yeah, stuff we don't think about because we never think it's going to happen to us. But like accidents, sometimes you don't wear your belt because it's never going to happen. You're never going to. It just needs to happen once. Remember this: you might avoid an accident how many times? You might have near misses 100 times. You might go on a motorway 100 days in a row, never have an accident. Think, oh, I'm okay, I'm never going to happen. How many times does an accident need to happen at a high speed for you to be in danger? Just one small mishap, one small thing can change your whole life. So would you risk not wearing your belt? Same with the fire drill. Basics. Kids should know basics. The other thing I tell people, I used to teach my kids, if something happens to mom or dad, or if there's one parent at home and they collapse right now, can your kids pick up the phone, call the emergency, call 999 or whatever number is, and give your address? Can they say, listen, this is my address, Echo Charlie Bravo, to make sure that the emergency operator knows what you're talking about. Mummy or daddy's fallen on the floor, they're not well, we need an ambulance. Can your kids articulate that at 5, 6, 7, or 8? This is what I was teaching my kids. So what's your address? What's your postcode? What do you say? How do you call the fire engine? How do you call the police? How do you call the ambulance? If you're in trouble, what do you do? Where do you find the phone? I used to teach my kids all of this stuff. Yeah, but apparently, but they were in danger. Apparently, they were in a lot of danger, though, yeah, because I'm teaching my kids stuff like that, yeah. Right, guys, here we go. This is my email, disqualified.dads@gmail.com. If you need any further support, you need to talk, you need advice. Also, just so some of you know out there, I am a professional, practicing, qualified life coach. Unfortunately, it's a paid service. I've got to make a living somehow. I'm qualified. I'm doing coaching programs, and I've been running these coaching techniques, NLP techniques, stuff like that. I work on mindset, I help people unlock their full potential. I've done a coaching program on a guy who was worried about getting his promotion, progressing in his career. One session, 2 months on, he's in a new job, new wage, negotiated his own money, got his own parking spot because of the few NLP techniques I ran. And one session has changed his life. The cost of that session is negligible now. And the results he's got. I'm on LinkedIn. Check me out. I'm also, what am I known as? LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Tap my name in or come up, connect with me on LinkedIn. It's a professional service. Besides how I come across here, look, when it comes to the coaching stuff, I take it very seriously. The NLP techniques, like I said, the insight into NLP, you won't believe how it can change your life. NLP can change your life. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP techniques. And I've helped people now unlock their potential, help them with their career, private life. I've helped fathers visualize the day where they'll see their kids and help them see the journey from a different perspective, giving them hope and giving them a good space of mind where they operate differently then. So look, reach out to me. It's a professional service. And if you want to talk, you want advice about your situation, reach out to me as well. And I'll see if I can hook you up with Mr. Ryan as well if needed. Right, did that Imam from Leicester get married to someone that came forward to help him? That I don't know, bro. But if you look at the podcast I did with MFSF Ahmed Radar, check out that podcast, that live stream. You'll see the full story. You'll check out who this guy is. This guy was the founder of Rahman. I don't want to misquote the name of the charity institute here. Don't get the wrong one, yeah. But check out that podcast, yeah. That done with Ahmed Radar. Can't build a community that women are destroying with no prevention, so they compensate. Can't be any more on site. I hate you, but it's time for hard measures. I agree, bro, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Time for hard measures now. But understand this: I'm going to give you a coaching principle, and this is a study done by psychologists. Yeah, understand this. This applies to every facet and aspect of life, yeah? And I hope you understand what I'm saying. Every decision and action that we have made, every decision that you have made has been based on two principles, two things, two factors on the subconscious level. This is every single decision you've made in your life, yeah? They're pain and pleasure principles. Either you are moving away from pain or you're moving towards pleasure. Sometimes we go through some massive pain, and in order to endure that pain, we take massive action. We take congruent action to ensure we don't go through that pain again. But it's the pain that determines the action. If as a community, like I said, this is still just scratching the surface. There's been no resistance. There's no way of challenging the mosques, the imam, the community as a whole. Tell me what mechanism there is. Nothing. The only mechanism I see now is to challenge a mosque or to challenge a community is, let's say MFSF or some other organization organizes 100 fathers and we go outside the mosque. We go outside the Sharia Council. We go outside these scam artists, Sharia, Kullah councils, whatever they are, 100 of us stand outside peacefully. Let me say this, peacefully stand there, make our point. Until there is some action or energy towards it, then there'll be a reaction. Then they'll say, well, we don't want to be in this situation again. Let's sort this out. If we don't tackle the wider community, because astaghfirullah is imam, we can't challenge him, we can't say this, it's the mosque, oh yeah, he's challenging. Until there's a little rogue element to it, I hate to say it, the rogue guerrilla element to this, where we go and tackle or highlight our concerns in a legally abiding fashion and make it clear, there's no need to change. If there's not enough people making noise, if there's no noise being made about this, there's no issue, there's no action. Hence, hard measures, hard times. I hear you, it's time for hard measures. I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is, fathers need to show up. Fathers need to really stop attacking each other, stop attacking other organizations. They need to show up. That's what they got to do. We got to show up for these things. We got to tackle them. So how did the mosque prepare you then for this? If they're teaching the community, then I don't agree. It's your fault, bro. Yes, do something. No, I agree with you in that sense. But what I'm saying to you is full accountability. I take all accountability. Hence, I need to change myself. I need to change my thinking. Again, my mindset was wrong. Maybe that's why I ended up here. Why wasn't I aware of this? Mosques aren't even talking. They've never talked about this. Divorce is not talked about in the community. If you look at the South Asian community, if you talked about, okay, if this goes on before your marriage, if you sat there with your parents or the in-laws or anyone, or even during the marriage, mention that, when everyone panicked, patch it over, send them along the way. Again, people got their kids married off, not thinking they're going to get divorced, because once they're married, they're in it, it's someone else's problem. What's happening in the community is this. So there's a lot of, unfortunately, in this generation now, there's a lot of sisters with personality disorders. Yeah, and me and Dr. Asif, like I said, check out that podcast with me and Dr. Asif, 3-hour podcast. We go deep into these personality disorders. This personality disorder, right? Mum and dad know about this. You know, exes, mum and dads, they know about these things. Yeah, not my exes. I'm talking about all exes, all of those who have dealt with this. Yeah. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp's ex, Amber Heard. Her mum and dad knew she was like a histrionic personality disorder. But they will do anything to cover it up, just to get her to the altar, get her to that nikah, say kabul, get the sign on the paper, because they're thinking that's your problem now. Let me tell you something what my father said to me in my ear on the day of the nikah was done. Congratulations, he hugged me, and then he whispers in my ear. What did he say? I flipping forgot now. He whispers in my ear, she's yours now. Or she's. He said something along the lines of, and not even in a jokey or a nice, happy way, but basically, it's sort of indicating she's your problem now, sort of thing, or she's yours now. Like it was so. It's the way he said it left a very uncomfortable feeling. So listen, most parents know the issues with their own son or daughter, but what again, they just cover it for their own. An idea that they'll get married off. And look, guess what? Yes, you got married off, she's your problem. No problem, yeah. We can deal with that, yeah. But then why aren't you backing your son-in-laws? You know your daughter's good, something's not 100%, but you're still backing your daughter with the bad behavior. They're then listening to these stories, not thinking that I know what she's like. She has got a personality disorder. She makes shit up. She's not all there. Let me support this guy because he's not a bad guy. Because I'm a man, I can read him, I can see his body language, I know how he talks, I know he's not a bad lad. How about that? They're not doing that, but they're backing their own because, again, right or wrong is irrelevant when it comes to your own. I mean, I had, like I said, my ex's sister's husbands tell me off the record, we know something's not 100%, but it's not a bad person. Basically, you need to be a social worker or a carer or whatever. I don't know. Listen, so not me. I'm talking about a case that a friend of mine, a client I was representing. This is what his ex's wife's husband said to him during their marriage. So people cover up for their own, and you know what? Listen, I'm rambling. I forgot the question. How did the mosque prepare for this teaching community thing? No, the mosque ain't teaching community night. This is what I'm trying to say to you. The mosques are socially disconnected. They are socially unaware. They're socially not ready to deal with divorce. They don't talk about these subjects. Being South Asian mosques, like I said, divorce was a taboo subject up until now. Now for the sisters, it's a badge of honor. So I hope and the mosques support the Sharia councils that are backing them because they're making money out of this. It's all a business. Right, let's go back to numero uno. Mr. 99% say has no idea this is going on. They just think for the people struggling, they can just go to court. Yes, that's exactly. Listen, that delusion we all had. I had, you had, we all had the delusion that I'm a father, I have rights, I'll go to court and I'll see my kids. When you lose contact with your kids, remember that you're never going to be the same person again. You're not going to be that same human being ever again. Ever. You can never go back to that. You can never be a civilian again. Remember this, you can never go back into the matrix. Honestly, that's brilliant advice. Listen, I got you, bro. I got you. I'm here. Disqualified dad has got you, no matter what. I'm there, bro. Muslims have a divorce epidemic. Hijab says due to them wanting a Western life. I think the thing is this, look, I saw that podcast from Mohammed Hijab the other day, yeah, on MFSF, yeah. Mohammed Hijab, like I said, bro, he's a big man. He's a big influencer. He's got a big YouTube platform. He's very well educated. He's got multiple degrees. He's a highly talented individual. And the fact is this, though I understand he grew up without a father, hopefully I can do a podcast with him one day. He grew up without a father. He's the exception. He's done well, yeah. But the thing is this, though his dad wasn't around, yeah, he hasn't been, he may have gone abroad and stuff to do his speeches and seminars and podcasts and stuff, yeah, but he knows nothing's stopping him from seeing his children. Once you lose contact with your children, remember that you're not going to be the same again. Your worldview will change. You can never see this society, this world as the same again, knowing that your children can be denied and damaged in this way systematically. You will never be the same again. And the thing with these guys is, respect them. I like my job, but he's talking from an objective view. His view is objective from what he's seen and people coming to him, what they're facing. And when people talk about other, let me tell you something. Why are there no Asian, South Asian, Muslim men, even Hindu or Sikh Muslim? Why aren't they openly coming out? What did Ahmed Reza talking about that's exposing this? They don't talk about it. So it's easy to sit there. A lot of happy people. I've had people wanting to come on a podcast, but they're like, no, I want to talk about my situation. I said, bro, if you're not going to put nothing out, what's the point then? I don't get it. You're going to regurgitate the same old thing and that's it. I'll say, oh yeah, but this is how it is. And the same old red pill shit. Why don't you talk about something tangible that you could say, listen, I've experienced this. Talk about that so we can start getting this out there. Because these guys are talking about other people who have been through this. Do you see what I'm saying? Hence, I'm here exposing this. And there is, look, I don't know if it's due to the Western lifestyle. There's a lot of influences. There's a lot of factors to this. I think also there's a lot of factors to this. Right, we're getting to the bottom now slowly. Right, you're right. Swept under the prayer rug until it's a monster they can't hide. Yeah, and look, that's how it is. There's a couple of imams that wanted to talk about something, like I said to you, bro. But apparently a lot of women from the area called in and showed their disgust to the committee. Listen, and the committee told Imam not to talk about it again. Legitly, I've heard this from imams directly. I've heard this from them. But we need to keep battling that narrative. Something needs to happen. Once I get on a proper public platform, once my platform grows more, as this channel gets bigger, which I need all of your help and support, I will be tackling this on the internet. I'll be calling them out. I don't care if the community put me as an outcast. They can outcast me. I don't give a shit, bro. I've lost kids, bro. I don't really give a shit about anything beyond that. My stop, my limit, my stopgap is so far down the line, right? I don't community masking. I don't give a shit about nothing. Yeah, I've seen they fail. This society, this community, my community, as far as I'm concerned, the Gujarati community, the Muslim community, the mosque community, fucking Chinfa community, call it what you want. Yeah, they've all failed my kids, bro. They have failed my kids. That is my only priority. So we're gonna keep making noise. We're gonna keep growing till we expose this. But that time's gonna come. I'm working on a few things. I'm gonna get onto a public platform properly, and as things grow, we're gonna tackle this directly, inshallah. Right, fathers are passing on their feelings. Fathers are passing on their failings. Fathers are passing on their failings in their children. Brothers need good standard vetting process and never marry these parents' failures. We're Western and liberal. Right, listen, I made a lot of videos. Very good point. I made a lot of videos about the community marriage scam. Go back to my old original videos, van blogs from the van. They're pretty raw. I talk about the community marriage scam, how it is done. It is the community marriage scam, and it is a scam and a scam alone. Yeah, how this business operates, the indirect sub language, how both parties want to get it over the line so they're not alone to get this done. And if one party is more experienced at these negotiations and the other party's got the first son or daughter get married, they're a little bit more timid and they get walked all over. Trust me, go and watch those videos. Do not marry women whose fathers have failed to raise them to be truly religious, famous, submissive, and traditional secular life. Not that 95% I walk away. Bro, the thing is this, yeah. Being religious and being feminine are two very different things. Like I said, in the family court, we have hijabi sisters, niqabi sisters, practicing sisters, pray 5 times a day sisters. We've even got alima sisters. There's one case, like I said, head alima sister from a very, place up north. She's the head alima of a very big dog room, yeah. She's there accusing, grandparents and him of all sorts, yeah. These are head alimas, yeah. So I say to you, do not be deluded or do not be persuaded by the hijab, niqab, or this persona of practice, yeah. Do not be deluded by that. They don't talk about it due to shame, and this is the problem, bro. This is then what keeps this mess underground. This is why a lot of fathers, when they're going through this, I spoke to a lot of fathers who have had these dark thoughts about unaliving themselves. And I'm not even talking from a mental health, from a perspective of you're screwed. What do you do? You're up against it from a cultural perspective, a religious perspective, the community perspective, the legal perspective, the family court perspective, societal perspective. You are up against it from all angles. And that's why, unfortunately, fathers come to a logical conclusion and think, you know what, I'm done, I'm out. This is what I'm saying. There is no shame in this. Yeah, listen, there is shame in the element of, yes, it's embarrassing that your laundry is going to come out in public, or your woman's disrespecting you, taking your kids. And the shame is from the fact that as a man, you are powerless to protect your children. Understand where these feelings come from. Let me ask you a question, Adam. Shame about what? Good coaching, there's good questions. Shame about what? Let me tell you what the shame is. When you feel deficient in protecting your children, you can't even see them, yeah? Primarily as a human being, primarily as a male human being, there's a shame from the fact that you're not a good protector as a man. You failed as a protector. That's where the shame, I believe, comes from. But my point is this, is my shame or my embarrassment bigger than my mission? Yeah, you see those faces there? Is my mission bigger than my embarrassment or shame? When your nervous system, as I said, you're going through trauma, nervous system is shot to bits. You can rewire the brain to operate where it needs to align it with your goals. When you go past the shame and embarrassment threshold, you are capable of doing many things because you have no boundary or barrier to what you will do. Remember this. Have a podcast. Yeah, I'd love to. Hopefully, MFSF next time they do a podcast, or at some point I can jump in on the panel with I've had Daniel Hakikaju. I've done a 20-minute short podcast with Daniel Hakikaju. go and watch that. It's on my channel. Check that one out. And in the future, hopefully I can get with some of these other big guns as well, tackling these issues. Shame and fake religious cultural delusions, absolutely. Right, Anton the Prodigy. Hey, Fruit, I've just now started seeing my children after 1.5 years progressing in the course. I live in Australia, but our laws and system are the same under the Commonwealth. You got me through it. Listen, man, listen, Anton. This is for you, my brother. Respect, love. This is why I'm doing this. This is the point and purpose of Disqualified Dads. To know that from here, sitting in England here, all the way to Australia, it has got you through till you've seen your children. Because these are the difficult moments when you are left alone, isolated, lost, broken, defeated, depressed, feeling like you have no hope. And the fact that this channel has got you through it, got you to see your kids, is the purpose of Disqualified Dads. Anton, you're a legend. Keep going. And you're right, under the Commonwealth, all the Western countries. When you say under the Commonwealth, excuse me, England, Wales, Scotland, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, the laws are the same. The system in itself is the same. The fathers in all of these Western countries, like I said, going through the same shit. But listen, Anton, love and respect. Keep going, my man. This just motivates me to continue battling, continue making content. This is the reason for the channel. I'm glad it's helped you. You know, really appreciate that. Can you expand on the community marriage scam, bro? I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring up my YouTube channel on this other page if I can here. I'm going to show you the community marriage scam video, if you can see it. Let me see if I can bring it up. Hold on, bear with me. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. StreamYard. Yeah, I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good at this. Streaming. Right, I'm going to bring up the channel. Hold on, so let's go to studio. Content. Right, listen guys, I'm gonna try and bring it up. Oh, listen, I can't, man. It's too complicated. It's too complicated, guys. Let me see if I can get the oldest. Age, mate. Oh, listen. Okay, look. I can't bring it up right now. It's a bit too difficult. But look, go on to TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Go down to my early videos. They are titled, you'll see on the screen, Community Marriage Scam. So we talk about how you end up, because look, when you end up with someone with a personality disorder, you realize that you are a scapegoat. You're meant to double up as her dad, her psychologist, her doctor, her social worker, and somewhere within there, you're meant to be for yourself a companion or someone, you know, a friend and a companion. But that's way after doctor, social worker, psychotherapist, whatever you want to call it, psychologist, a bloody healer, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. In the lead up to the wedding, you get coerced into this, you get duped into this, and then you think, how did I end up here? That's what I'm talking about. That is the community marriage scam, the sub-language and the subtext that they use. And before you know it, you've ended up, but you don't even know how you got there. Those videos expand on it a lot more, in a lot more sort of raw sort of form, yeah? Check it out. Check out those videos. Or email me and I'll send you the links to all of those videos. Just go down to my early videos in the van. It's quite raw. It's early days of the channel, and I'm exposing all of this. I'm talking about all of this and how you're coerced into these marriages and weddings and the negotiations. The other thing is this, like in the community, you ask around, no one will tell you the truth about that person, yeah? You're like, I don't want to be the cause, for the reason that marriage didn't happen, or that they never got fixed, or they never got fixed. They cover up for it. If it's one of their relatives, they'll cover up. No one's gonna tell you the truth. Yeah, bro, she's a bit of a wrong one. Yeah, she's not all there, bro. She's got a person. No one's gonna tell you that. And the sub language, the subtext, how they try and delegate things to you and push you and push the boundaries. If you're not used to these conversations, these interactions, you get duped. Check them out, definitely. Listen, they're worth a watch. That's the thing when you're not seeing your kids, Mr. Numero Uno again. That's the thing when you're not seeing your kids and you've got nothing to lose. You'll do anything and not give a shit. Sorry, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, the world will never be the same again. Once you lose contact with your kids, the world is a very different place. And your whole worldview changes ultimately. Look, your worldview changes. That's why I use the word truly, not the fake charlatans. I see right through them. I mean the real ones with strong religious and masculine father. Yeah, listen, man, I appreciate that. Flying horse, Mr. FA Fruit, been a long time, man. I've still been following you, but I have no time to get in touch. Listen, man, I don't know. This is who I think it is. Listen, shout me. Let's go for a coffee again. If you're back in the area, drop me a message. Adam, my children. I've said this before, I honestly wouldn't have been able to survive if it weren't for you through your channel. Help me heal and survive and keep going. Listen, man, listen, brother, I appreciate that. Thank you. This is why we're here. We're supporting fathers, we're supporting non-resident parents, we're here to support the alienated kids as well. And yeah, listen, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate everything. You've made us always aware that we are not alone now, and I don't have any fear of being wrongly accused. Absolutely, man. We've got to pull together, we've got to rise up. And that's the difference. That's what all the Mackenzie said. Remember, other communities, all communities, women ain't scared to make noise. That's why they've got all the attention. They ain't scared to make noise. Allah protect you and put fear in evil doers' hearts. Ameen, my brother. Ameen. Your children will be proud of you, whether that is now or later on in life. I wish I could meet you and give you a massive hug, man. I make love. Listen, man, I appreciate you. If you're ever back in London, if you're ever back in East London, drop me a message, man. Drop me an email. Anytime any father emails me and they're nearby and in London, so the East London area, I make an effort to take time out to meet them. So if you're ever in East London, anytime, guys, just drop me an email. I'm happy to meet anyone, go for a coffee. Just remember, you're buying the coffee though, yeah? All people make dua for each other. I mean, my brother, I mean. Therefore, you're sure proud when they see the work you've done and leave a legacy for many to benefit from. Don't lose sight of that for one moment. Your content is on your scales. Brother, thank you, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your input, and I appreciate everyone's input. It's been a long stream. Fabian had to go. Daniel couldn't stay on, so I thought, let me ride this out as long as we can today. 100, Adam. Respect to both of you. Adam, it's time that this type of thing is challenged. What's the framework? Absolutely, the framework is being built. There's organisations. MFSF is doing a lot of work behind the scenes. They're a bit slow. Armin's a bit himself. Things are slow, but things are happening. Things are happening. We just need to keep pulling together, keep making noise. The key is this. This channel has taken a year and a half to get here. Like I said, just under 2,000 subs now. Inshallah, it's going to hit a point, and I'm putting this out there. It's going to need one video, one clip, something to go viral. Channel's going to really, sort of take off overnight. Once it gets to a certain threshold, once the channel gets to a certain threshold, that's when we can make noise and make news. But look, I'm working behind the scenes daily, day and night. And these platforms with all the big guns, it's just a matter of time. Just to put it out there, me and Dr. Asif are going to do a live show, in face, live, and we're going to be taking questions. We're going to be tackling this further. Right, where are we? For it was genuinely, here we go. It's time that this time, right, from flying horse and fruit, was genuinely a pioneer in this field. Before fruit, I thought I was alone, I was very scared and afraid. All that negative emotions got. Listen, man, this is why we're here. Get rid of that negativity, positivity, state of mind. Yeah, we can overcome anything. You're definitely not alone. And for all of those out there that are going through those traumatic 6, 8, 10 months, these early days, is difficult, 100% very difficult, yes. But you can get through this. You're not alone. You don't need to go through it alone. We need to pull together. Listen, Flying Horse, I appreciate you, brother. We need to set up something to come out of WA, man. Definitely, we need to do it. There is a minister for men. He's had a lot of backlash, but when this petition, the thing is, look, the basic stuff we can do. I was not one for politics or petitions, but the basic things we can do as fathers is just start signing the petitions, start spreading them out to our friends and relatives, getting other people to sign them. That's the basic stuff. My point is, I say to her, do whatever you can within your capacity. Ultimately, the help is from above, bro. We just do what we can. Maybe this was our test. Maybe this was meant for us. Yeah, we do what we can in whatever capacity you can. Don't just assume we'll leave it for someone else. I challenge Mum with the job to have you on his channel. Yeah, inshallah. Look, MFSF, like I said, they've got the big guns there doing their podcasts, presenting for them. Hopefully, I'll reach out to Ahmed. Hopefully, I can get on the panel, and inshallah, I'll get on all the big channels. And inshallah, this channel will be big itself one day. Where ultimately, we'll all be collaborating. Doctor Who, Dr. Asif from The Apprentice. I've done 5 podcasts with him. They're on my channel. Check them out. Personality disorders, how to deal with the in-laws, intermarriage relations, how to deal with heartbreak, and there's another one. I've done so many with him, and I've done a 2-hour podcast with him on his channel, Masculine Mastery. Check him out. There's a lot of depth, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of insight there. Check him out. Like I said, 4 to 5 podcasts now with Dr. Asif. Dr. Asif is really big on all platforms now. He was on The Apprentice, that Dr. Asif. Check him out. I'd bring it up if I could. I tell you what, I'm gonna try one more time and bring it up just so you see. Hold on, I lost the screen there. I'm gonna try and bring him up before I go, so you see who Dr. Asif is. Now this is now a 3-hour live stream. It's going a bit crazy. Right, Dr. Asif is everywhere. Let me see if I can bring him up. Doctor. Right, here we go. Right, I'm going to share the screen so you see who Dr. Asif is. Right, this is Dr. Asif. This is a channel. I've done 1 podcast on his channel. Check it out. And I've had him on to Disqualified Dads in person as a guest on 4 or 5 occasions. One time he got chucked out of the venue we were in, and we had to go to a nearby cafe and set up there. But check out all the podcasts on my channel with Dr. Asif. Like I said, there's a lot of insight. There's one specific dedicated podcast, 3-hour podcast. We talk about the personality disorders. It is in depth. Check it out, guys. And that's who Dr. Asif is. Has Dr. Asif been through something similar where he has been refused access to his kids? If it can happen to him, we have no chance like that. I mean, look, I don't want to comment on his situation too much, but he has had his own, let's put it this way, Dr. Asif has been through his own turmoil, and he has grown from his turmoil as well. And look at where he is now. Like I said, the positive mindset, changing your mindset. Again, and he's gone through divorce and stuff like that. So he's gone through his own challenges and turmoils, yeah. And look at where he is now, ultimately. So he does have experience. And like I said, the stuff we talk about, like I said, because he's got the medical knowledge to back it up, personality disorders, check out that podcast. It's very in-depth. Flying Horse, he hasn't been through something like this, but he speaks about it from an Islamic perspective. It's a grand problem. So, yeah, Mohammed, he has, I mean, look, I don't know how much he's put of his own personal information he's put out there, but he's had his own challenges, let's put it that way. He's had his own challenges with marriage and divorce and all that sort of stuff. So he has got experience in this, and you know, he's a very well spoken, very well articulated guy, very intellectual young man. So he has got a lot of insight. He speaks about perspectives, a grand problem in the West. This is a grand problem everywhere. What people don't realize is in Pakistan right now, the issues the Pakistani fathers I've spoken to, and the issues we have in Pakistan right now with fathers as well, and there's trouble there happening. So this is spreading. This situation is not just here, it is spreading. Unfortunately, I hate to say it is spreading to other areas. This ideology is a global ideology, remember this. I know, Dr. Assis, I didn't hear you clearly when you said it. I was just like, oh, yeah, no, listen, apologies. Yeah, I do mumble sometimes, you know. I am a known mumbler at best of times. Or he has, he has been through his own journey. Right, listen, thank you all for engaging. Thank you all for partaking. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. This was a 3-hour stream. Went on longer than planned. I just soldiered it out for long as I could. Comments have stopped now. We've had good engagement. Shout out to Fabian. Shout out to Mr. Ryan for jumping in. Shout out to all the fathers. Shout out to all of those fighting to see their children. You're not alone. We are with you. We are united in our pain. Peace and love. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. And ultimately, we've put the final comment up from our man Flying Horse. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. Next time, please send in some more super chats. If you want to help support the channel, by the way, there's a PayPal link in the description. If you do want to make a sponsor or donation to help support the channel, keeps things running, there's a PayPal link in the description. Thank you all for your support. Love and respect to all of you. Keep going. Never say die. Never give up. And we'll get there one day. And to my kids, if you're watching, kids, I love you. I miss you. Peace out.